Did we need any catching up to do? Not really, not particularly. Just like
a guy came from Tokyo to investigate a kidnapping, and Rika was there.
Yeah.
That's all you get.
Cool. Meowdy gays and ghouls, welcome to today's Tour of the Horrors. I'm your host, Spoony the Spooky Cat, and I'm here with Cal. We're going!
I'm Cal the Clown Hound, since you also get a cool title.
Yeah, get your cool title. Is this good work, everyone? I think that's where we were. Good work, everyone. So. Yeah, that was the 23rd.
Your job is like Reaper. And mine is like King of the Clown Dimension, which I've always loved for my persona, because it's such a nothing station of political power.
It's perfect.
Like, what the fuck do you mean not only you're the king of another dimension that doesn't exist, you're the king of clowns? That doesn't make any sense. I love it.
It's wonderful. I love that sort of shit. I love it so much. It's great. It's great. Oh, Ishii.
Good work, everyone. I know it's hard, but please do your best.
Is Mort gonna cover?
If you catch anybody illegally, what?
I'm gonna see if Mort is gonna cover the text. I need to move him. Move down, my son. There we go.
You can have him peeking out from behind me. That's okay. I also don't want to hide your son.
He's hidden a little bit. Hi, Sheep. Thank you for the resub.
If you catch anybody illegally dumping, please contact someone immediately.
Illegally dumping.
We'll act quickly.
Thank you for your cooperation, Oishi-san. Please. I could do narration today. I'm full of energy. I'm full of yogurt and banana and granola.
I'm so fucking jealous of you and your yogurt. You said that shit and I was like, I want yogurt.
It's Greek yogurt. It was delicious. I love yogurt.
Fuck! Give me yogurt!
Yogurt! A gap wide enough for a single car was opened up in the barricade. Oishi, showing his gratitude, or perhaps a threatening attitude with a short beep on the horn, rolled the car forward through the checkpoint. This time, my appearance was the very embodiment of the word suspicious. A baseball cap, mask, and sunglasses. On top of that, even though it was sweltering, I was wearing a hoodie. Any respectable police officer would be loath to not stop me for questioning. I'd meant to be overcautious, knowing full well that my face was known, but it might have already been too late for that to have any use. Using that as an excuse, I doffed the unbearably hot hoodie and windbreaker, ripped off the mask and hat, and threw them in the seat behind me.
Oh my. Is that okay?
I'll also read for Akasaka.
Yeah.
With a cheap little disguise like this, they probably figured it out anyways.
That just might be the case.
Oishi, probably thinking that my unexpected behavior was funny, continued to laugh. The beautiful and pristine scenery of Hinamizawa spread out before me. The village itself would have been quite beautiful if it weren't for the complicated circumstances surrounding it at the moment. I would absolutely love to take Yukie here for a drive one day. Come to think of it, I didn't get a chance to call her last night. I played around with the idea in my head. But in reality, this village wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. I had heard everything at the prefectural headquarters. At the heart of this village, the intelligence network that the three families wielded was, due to blood ties and regional relationships, unbelievably well organized. Their net spread not just around Hinamizawa itself, but encapsulated the entirety of the city of Shishibone as well. When I first heard that, somewhere in the recesses of my mind, I didn't take it completely seriously. How could a local organization out in the boonies here have something so grandiose? I think that's how you say that. I couldn't deny that somewhere in the back of my mind I had ridiculed the thought. But not only were they really threatening the minister, but they had demonstrated they had a complete grasp on our movements, which were supposed to be top secret. They were almost like the secret police that controlled a small Eastern European country like in some spy novel. The villagers here wouldn't bat an eye at getting their hands dirty if it meant fighting the dam project. I also heard something like that at the prefectural headquarters. Now that you mention it, when I first arrived here, Oishi also said that this place was a war zone, didn't he? The residents of this village were at the same time freedom fighters. Although, by definition, they were no different than guerrillas or militia. They weren't protected by the Geneva Convention, but they also didn't have to adhere to those rules either. This place was more of a quagmire than in any legitimate battlefield. A secret war was unfolding. I could drive along because Oishi was with me. What if I was to leave this car for even something as trivial as looking for a vending machine? There was a chance I wouldn't return. Even though a single shot hadn't been fired. This was a battlefield. No, the reason why bullets weren't flying was simply because it was hard for a civilian to obtain a gun in Japan. Man, gee, I wish that were me. So they were probably just equipped with weapons other than guns that were easier to obtain. That was why Oishi was wearing that stab-proof vest, wasn't it?
Akasaka-san, are you nervous?
The fact that I was apprehensive was, of course, picked up on by Oishi. He already figured it out. There was no point in trying to deny or hide it. Of course I am. We're headed into the heart of enemy territory alone, aren't we? I'm worried about if something unlikely happens with just the two of us.
Something unlikely? It'll be all right.
Isn't everybody in this village our enemy? If everybody gets their stories straight, they could murder someone in broad daylight and there wouldn't be a shred of evidence. I'm asking about something like that. This was what the ironclad rule of not barging into a Yakuza office alone was about. If there wasn't a neutral party involved, that area wasn't bound by the laws of common sense. If something happened, you wouldn't be able to prove it, and there wasn't anybody who would take your side. It was pretty much the definition of poking the bear.
I've left word that we're headed toward the Hinamizawa area. And in the worst case, we've also got a radio. I know you're scared, Akasaka-san, but it's not that easy to pull off the perfect crime. Well, of course that doesn't mean we can let our guard down either. Akasaka-san, you're too worked up over this. You were more relaxed the last time we came up here together, weren't you?
Laughing it off, Oishi thumped his chest and grinned as if to say I could depend on him.
Well, if it gets really iffy, this comes with having the badge.
Oishi made a motion by sticking out his index finger. It was undoubtedly the image of a gun. Will it be of any use?
If you're not afraid of dealing with the aftermath after you shoot, it's actually very reassuring.
An officer's gun was only for show. If you really wanted to fire it, there were quite a number of stipulations, and you had to be prepared for the long probationary period afterwards. God, I wish that were here. That definitely wasn't worth it. So even if an officer did unholster his gun, there wasn't one who actually wanted to pull the trigger. Okay.
Akasaka-san, are you carrying one? One of these?
Well, yeah.
You ever fired it?
I have. For training, though.
Well, I guess that'd be true.
Well then, have you, Oishi-san?
Me? Nah, there's no way.
What was this? I thought he was laughing at me because he had experience. The two of us laughed together.
I've also never pointed the barrel at anybody. I've looked down the barrel of a gun a few times, though. Just being made to look down the barrel like that is enough to shorten your lifespan by about 3 years.
Even if he had never fired a gun before, you couldn't even begin to compare the amount of experience Oishi had over me. At a time like this, I could only marvel again at how reliable Oishi seemed.
Come to think of it, I didn't want to come this way in the middle of the day. But there's no way for a car to get through other than here. Akasaka-san, just in case, put on the mask again to hide your face, please.
What's the matter?
Can you not hear it because the air conditioning is too loud? I'll turn it off. Try opening the window.
When I opened the window, a blast of hot air blew inside, and then I could hear angry yelling coming from far away. At that moment, the forest gave way on either side of us, and our view expanded suddenly. And there could be seen the Hinamizawa Dam construction grounds, the very front line for Hinamizawa Village. We're absolutely opposed to the construction of the Hinamizawa Dam! Yay! We kind of synced up. The crackling blare of someone's voice sounded over an enormous loudspeaker. The roar of angry voices continued to rumble. The incredible volume had become a veritable sound cannon, spewing out its ammunition. The prefabricated site office was surrounded by 2 sets of high fences laced with barbed wire. Lined up in front of those fences were riot police and their vehicles, and surrounding it all were the villagers. They howled out their protest against the dam as a single entity.
No, there's not too many of them today. We're in luck.
That's not too many?
Yeah, when there's a lot of them, the crowd reaches as far as the road. You wouldn't even be able to inch forward in a car.
At first, due to their overwhelming intensity, it looked to me like there was more people than there actually was, but upon closer inspection, there were at most 50 to 70 of them. That's still quite a few. But the 6 or 7 propaganda trucks lined up that looked like they belonged to a band of thugs were a strange enough sight. The villagers were also wearing helmets and bandanas, as well as covering their faces with masks, adding to the oddity of it all. The propaganda trucks, after braying their chorus, had their volume turned up even higher and began to flood the area with sutras. Say that the noise was downright violent wouldn't be an understatement. From this distance, it was still loud. The glass in the office was probably rattling from the noise.
They can't do anything there but take it. Those riot squad guys, every one of them is wearing earplugs, but they're still having their hearing damaged. Or subs.
Can't you do something about it with noise ordinance laws?
Our prefecture doesn't have any laws regarding noise ordinance. Also, those are sutras, right? We can't regulate religious activities. Those guys are pretty smart.
Is what I think, Oishi said. Actually, no matter how tightly the window was shut, the booming sound of the sutras still filled the car. I couldn't even hear what Oishi, who was sitting right next to me, was saying. Oh snap, I recognize a lot of those kanjis. Isn't that fun? When you're learning Japanese and you start to, actually be able to read it, you're like, whoa! As the car approached the line of propaganda trucks, the blare became difficult to bear. Nice job, Saribot. It wasn't enough to just plug my ears with my fingers. I had to hold my head to keep my skull from splitting apart.
The chat can't see it, but the account that Saribot just banned is called Unprecedented Prosecutor, and if that just isn't just a fucking homestuck ass name.
Oh no!
I feel like it's a chum.
Oh no!
Sorry.
No, it's fun. It just anytime I hear it.
That to hand.
Oh yeah, it's a button I have. I have a button. It has the picture and everything on it.
A bot? Well, yeah, that's why Saribot got it.
But if I had seen this terrifying energy sooner, I would have probably understood what Hinamizawa Village was much quicker. Now I knew they wouldn't blink an eye at sacrificing themselves in order to protect their hometown. Ah, so goddamn noisy. Shut up, shut up, shut up! What the fuck is shut up in Japanese? Damare? Anyway, my head throbbed and felt like it was going to split apart. My eardrums crackled, and on top of it all, I felt like I was going to throw up. With the road crowded with the throng of squatters, the propaganda trucks, and the riot police's vehicles, it was in no way easy to get by. Even if you tried to shoo the squatters with the car horn, they were also wearing earplugs, oblivious to noises from the outside world, and wouldn't easily move. The car could only inch forward at a snail's pace. Even then, the car eventually got through, starting to leave the tumultuous noise behind.
Hey, the old guy that was playing mahjong with us last night? Remember him?
I remembered that there was an older person who didn't exactly mince words. The guy that Oishi called Old Man. There was someone like that.
You see, he's the foreman of the main construction site. He's probably holed up in that prefab building, trying to work while irritated out of his mind. Poor fella.
You wouldn't be able to stand it if it's like that every day.
Yeah, there's no end to the number of people who can't handle it and quit. But every time that happens, their wages go up, so I won't say it's in vain.
Even having to deal with all that noise and hostility, they still made a wage that Oishi found enviable.
Damn it, these guys. Can they hear or can't they?
A group of squatters were in the way of the car. Oishi, sufficiently annoyed, laid into the horn, but there was no indication that they were moving anytime soon. In this din, could they not even hear a car horn? Or did they hear it and were being malicious? If there were any riot police nearby, they would have made people move, but it just so happened there weren't any around here.
Jeez. Wait just a minute.
Oishi opened up the door. The hot air and even more heated roar of the crowd spilled into the car. Oishi said something as he grinned widely, but I couldn't hear what it was. He was getting them to move. Something like that? Oishi stepped out of the car and closed the door. The din faded slightly. I stared blankly as Oishi headed towards the group and started some sort of conversation. Maybe we'd find the minister's grandson at Takatsudo. At the very least, I wanted to find him there. Find him and slip the cursed bonds of this incomprehensible village. I could only pray. At that moment, a shadow was suddenly cast over me. Somebody was standing right outside the passenger side window, blocking the sunlight. I spun around, looked up, and realized who the backlit figure was. Oh. It was a girl.
Want me to take over narration while Rika's here?
Yeah.
It was Rika Furude. The girl stared down at me with a bored look in her eyes. I didn't have any justification for it, but I felt like I'd been found by somebody I shouldn't be found by. To fill the silence, I raised my hand as I mouthed a meek greeting. Of course, there was no way she heard my small voice in this clamor, but even then, she should have seen me wave my hand in greeting. In spite of that, she simply stared down at me with a cold look in her face. At that moment, the noise and heat spread throughout the car once again. Oishi had returned to the driver's seat. Taking a look, the group that were blocking the road had started to move aside while glaring our way.
I have to read Gil's comment. Meanwhile, American cops would have been like, "Holy shit, a small child! Open fire!" Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry to keep you waiting. Shall we go? Oishi registered the figure of the girl behind me. One of the villagers came over and picked her up. In a manner of, "It's dangerous, so get away." It was then that she whispered one or two words. However, I couldn't hear any of it. Well then, let's go. I'm gonna gun it, okay? But of course, still within the speed limit.
I suppose Rika didn't have any speaking parts.
I forgot my bad.
No, it's fine. I figured she probably did, so I was like, yeah. Okay. I will continue narration, if you're cool with that.
Of course.
As if to shake off the still audible angry voices, Oishi floored the gas. Along with the roar and the din and the shouting, the villagers and the girl quickly disappeared behind us.
As soon as we're through here, we're in Takatsudo. Are you okay if we end up getting into a firefight? Don't be fumbling with the safety at the last moment, you hear?
Oishi laughed, mockingly, again. I was more concerned with what the girl had said, however, as I was vaguely bothered by it. What was she trying to say with that apathetic and candid expression? Also, hi, Bat. I would normally say this is going to be a fun stream, but this is Hinamizawa, so... It's like... No, these streams are still fun! I swear!
I suppose it's normal if you're nervous from here on out. But if you don't deal with it, there's a chance you might do something rash.
But there was no longer a way to confirm what the girl had tried to tell me. It might have been that the girl who warned me to go back to Tokyo again, or else... I said that weird. Hang on, let me... It might have been that the girl who warned me to go back to Tokyo again, or else... was saying to me who is here now, ignoring that warning. That's still worded weird.
Even though I warned you. What a fool.
I had the feeling she said something like that. Oh. Ah! Oh no!
They put me in the dark void. They put me in the dark void. They put me in the letterbox.
The letterbox?
The letterbox.
That's that effect.
Right. Like letterbox. I understand now.
Yeah. If you were to call Hinamizawa a rather lonely village, then Takatsudo was outright desolate. For your everyday city boy like me, I just couldn't understand why anybody would force themselves to live here. Some people like quiet places, Akasaka.
Sometimes people like things that you don't. Sorry.
Yeah, sometimes people have different opinions and wants and needs, Akasaka, you dumb cop. Anyway.
It sounds like Final Fantasy music.
It kind of does, yeah. I actually also want to visit the place that Hinamizawa is based off of really bad.
Go into the mountains. Be lost forever.
Ah, that'd be so cool. There were signs that people had, but they were all covered in dust or enveloped in ivy, indicating that it was all abandoned. People really lived in a place like this, didn't they?
Well, it was a long time ago. A remote place like this is pretty rough for old folk to live. And the younger people probably wanted to try living in a more suitable place. If there's nobody else to take the reins, all that gets left is this.
Can I go on a small tangent?
Of course.
It's time for our first tangent. So I learned fairly recently something about Japan that is very interesting to me. And they have like districts, much like we have districts in the US, where we have like school districts and stuff and like etc. In each district, they need to make sure they have like housing for young people, and then they also have housing for when people get older in the same district that people like can afford. And I keep thinking about that. Like, we don't have that.
No.
We don't have that. Why don't we have that? But they make sure every district has like everything that everybody would need in each stage of their life. And I'm like, that seems like a no-brainer, but the US doesn't do shit like that. They do school districts and that's about it. Anyway.
Can you imagine if like a country cared about its people?
Yeah, can you fucking imagine? Even if I had no personal attachment to the village, seeing the disused buildings made me feel a little sentimental. Imagine, hi Proxy. It seemed that Oishi also felt the same way. Was the wallet found over here? The person who found it must have a good reason to come out to this desolate place.
Yeah, there's some villagers who have the field out in the mountains here. They pass by here in the morning and evenings.
Villagers who work in the fields walk by here every day?
No way. They probably go as far as they can by car.
Benefit for people? That's not going to benefit the corporations. Denied! Yeah, for real. So in the early mornings and evenings, they pass by here and just happen to find a single wallet? Suspicious.
They probably did.
Where exactly did they say they found it?
In the thicket, just a bit further ahead. The person who found the wallet just happened to have some stomach cramps and was planning to use the thicket to do his business, it seems. It was there he happened to find it. Probably hoping there was some toilet paper in there.
Everything about that story just seems a little too convenient. Right from the discovery of the wallet, I just can't shake the feeling that something's off. I expressed the feeling that I had from the start of the day, quite frankly. It seemed too good to be true, but it was unwavering proof. But it was too perfect. Sickeningly so. That was my feeling.
You might actually be onto something by saying it's all a little too perfect.
It's a trap. It's a trap. Meaning?
The truth is, I heard a little something from a friend of mine in the 4th Division, where Orioso Nozaki referenced the kidnapping of the minister's grandson.
Japan does have a lot of good stuff for people, but doesn't put too much enough providing life besides work. Ah, I see. I don't know.
I don't know if that's true.
I actually don't know about that.
Because, like, the Shinkansen is crazy, and that's not just for work.
Mhm.
That's just a bullet train that takes you wherever, for whatever.
Yeah, they do have...
And then they have, like, designated smoking areas to make sure that people who want to smoke can smoke, and they have an area for it.
Mhm.
But then people who don't want that shit in their lungs don't have to.
Mhm.
And there's also, like, a lot of, like, ordinances and shit in place, especially in major cities, about, like, cleanliness and stuff.
Mhm.
And, like, there's a lot of shit that's not just for work. It's, like, for, you know, the betterment of the people around you.
They also, like... I think this is just, like, a sort of, etiquette thing, more so. In Japan, it's kind of, like, looked down upon, as far as I know, as far as I've heard, to, like, if you are gonna get street food or street from a vendor or something, it is, rude to walk around and eat. There are designated eating spots, food eating spots, that you go to and you eat at. Not walking around and eating, or sitting, God forbid, sitting on the ground and eating. That's even ruder. That's really rude. Don't do that. That's gross. That's disgusting, because people walk on the ground. No, don't do that.
I was specifically talking about how people are very workaholic to a point where they don't have a... Yes, and that is a problem.
That is definitely a problem.
Japan
Yeah.
is perfect.
Yeah. Nah. We get you. But Japan does have a lot of stuff that is not just work-centric, is what we're saying. But yeah, that is definitely a problem in Japan. As far as I know, they are getting better about it, but it's still a very workaholic country, last I heard. Anyway, tangent over. She referenced it.
It's been several days since the minister's grandson has been kidnapped. Poor boy. It'd be nice if they let him go soon.
Oh. There's
Just
more.
learned about that on Friday, but it's somewhat normal to walk and eat, especially during festivals.
Oh, okay.
The walking and eating thing isn't as strict as you think.
Got it. Well, I stand corrected. Thank you. But you have more.
It seems that old
yeah.
Oreo muttered something like that while on her veranda.
Ugh.
And that little musings was conveyed to the various people working deep behind the scenes of the Sonozaki family.
Are your ears cutting off any of the lines, or are they just out of the text box?
No, they're not. No, everything's fine.
Okay.
I'm just, like, sitting back, and it's affecting my voice, but if I don't
No,
sit back, then my legs will die.
I was only saying that because I looked down and saw that your ear was, like, barely touching the text box. And I was like, uh-oh.
Get your damn ears out of the text box, goddamn.
What is that meme? Like, stop, get your ears off of the goddamn text.
Get them big-ass ears out
Big
of the
ass.
text box.
Big ass ears. It was something a lot of my classmates thought that our teacher told us wasn't true. She's from Japan. It wasn't obvious. Ah, I see. Right. I had heard something earlier from Sato-san, the informant, that when the leader, Oreo, had a concern, somebody in the family would be considerate. Getting them big ass ears out of the caption. That's the one. So, in essence, she gave the order to release the hostage.
I see it that way. The wallet being conveniently discovered was just a ploy to hand the boy over to the police.
Why would they release the hostage?
Well, there's only one reason why somebody would release a hostage, isn't there?
What is it?
They reached a deal. That would mean the minister promised to halt the Hinamizawa Dam project.
The dam project will definitely go away.
At that moment, those words that the girl had said resurfaced in the back of my mind. In the end, it doesn't even matter. It was turning out exactly as she had proclaimed. That young girl knew the circumstances. She knew everything about this kidnapping incident from the beginning to the end.
Akasaka,
The girl unexpectedly called my name. What is it?
go back to Tokyo.
Huh?
Before long, you will woefully regret coming to this village. That would be an incredibly pathetic thing to see. So I thought I'd warn you right now.
Why would I come to regret it?
Stop whining. When you tried crossing the road when the don't walk sign was up, did your parents finish explaining why it was dangerous before pulling you back to the sidewalk? They'd pull you back right away, wouldn't they? They'd pull you back before explaining why it was dangerous, wouldn't they? In other words, it's something like that.
The girl who knew everything from start to finish had warned me in the beginning, go back to Tokyo.
Akasaka is such a coward.
We'll probably find the boy. But what happens afterwards will probably be a bit of a problem. Oishi-san would not say that because he is a middle-aged Japanese man. Oishi doesn't know what a hawk-twa is.
No, Oishi is like the kind of a guy who I think would learn about memes like years later, like kind of like my dad, and then like use them all the time to make all the young children go ah. So yeah, no,
see my Abata-san? It's a Rickroll. I got you, didn't I?
I miss love. My dad is constantly saying, "Who do you think you are? I am," and I'm like, "Dad, that's so old."
No, he's right though. That's one of the funniest fucking phrases anyone has ever said.
It's true. It's true. It's true.
How it'll be a problem though is something a single officer like me can't figure out.
Do you know a girl named Rika Furude? What I had said was such a non sequitur that Oishi sat in stunned silence for a while.
Of course I know her. She's the only daughter of the Furude family. One of the 3 families.
What kind of girl is she?
Well.
She's got blue hair and pronouns. Sorry.
That was an unexpected name to hear, so I'm a bit surprised. Does public safety think that the Furude family smells fishy and wants to keep an eye on them? Share some of that information with me, please.
No, it's not like that.
I will relent that Oishi would be super into Pickle Rick.
No, you're right!
That's very true. That's very true. He would be so into Rick and Morty.
You gotta say it. You gotta say the line.
And he turns himself into a pickle. Funniest shit I've seen all year.
Have you seen the video of Barrett saying that to Cloud?
Yes.
It fucking kills me. That's so real too. He would say that to Cloud. Fuck. It's not like that. It's just something that caught my attention.
Well, whatever. I would do not to answer a question from a friend I've sat at the same table with.
I'm honored that you call me a friend.
So that little lady is, well, somewhat of a village mascot. If you heard that clink, that was me tossing my tweezers 8 feet across the room by mistake.
Whoops.
She's beloved by everybody in the village. Some of the older folk worship her especially.
Worship?
I don't know much about it, you see. Girls born in the Furude family have somewhat of a sacred implication, it seems. It's one of the local beliefs in Hinamizawa. The living incarnation of Oyashiro-sama or something like it. Or so the story goes, apparently.
Oyashiro-sama? Now that you mention it, I think I saw Oyashiro-sama written on some of the Alliance's banners. What is Oyashiro-sama, exactly? Time to learn.
It's the name of a guardian deity in Hinamizawa. They believe it'll exact punishment on those who would do ill toward the village. Well, if there was such a convenient god around, the guys of the dam would have long since been done in by divine justice. Luckily, nothing like that has happened to anybody. Just yet.
The grandson of the minister who trifled with the village as a result of Oyashiro-sama's anger was... what did they call it again? Oh, right. Onikakushi. The minister's grandson was demoned away. That would probably be how the script is being written.
I see. It probably would turn into something like that.
Divine punishment wrought by Oyashiro-sama. Then the culprit is the living incarnation of Oyashiro-sama. That girl. Even I didn't know exactly what I was saying. The fact that Oishi laughed it off was a bit of a relief. Oishi's joyous laughter was so infectious that I began to laugh like an idiot as well.
Oh, this is unusual.
Oishi, after laying into the horn several times, rolled the window down and leaned out, waving his arm in an exaggerated manner. It was a car headed the opposite way. Until now, we hadn't run into any other cars except our own. And of all places, it was at this desolate location. It seemed that Oishi knew the owner of that car. The other car also chirped its horn and came to a stop. Uh-oh.
Dr. Idiot! Good afternoon!
The other car's window rolled down slowly, revealing a young man in a white overcoat. He was about my age, or perhaps a bit older. But you really can't judge somebody by their appearance.
Why, if it isn't Oishi-san? Good afternoon. Fancy meeting you here. That's my line, Doctor. I never thought I'd see you here. What happened? Oh, nothing. Just a little house call. Oh, really? Was it an emergency?
Oh, no.
No, nothing quite that serious. Thankfully. It's always for the best when the patient gets better without the need of medicinal care. Or medical care.
Similar thing.
I'll take my leave here. If I don't get back quickly, my staff will be angry with me. Being the head of a clinic must be tough. Well then, take care.
The young doctor named Irie, after gesturing his farewell, drove forwards and soon disappeared around a corner. Oishi also drove forwards, but soon came to a stop again. He pulled out a worn map book from the dash. His expression didn't have an ounce of irreverence. He was perfectly serious. God, does anybody remember before GPS, when everybody just had maps of all the county roads and stuff in their glove box? God damn.
I miss those maps. They were the coolest.
I do too. I could not read them to save my
There's
life.
a scene in the Goofy movie where they like punch the dashboard and like the fucking map pops out.
Yeah.
And I was always like, I want a map in my dashboard, but I'm too old now. We don't got those no more.
I fucking love that movie. That's actually one of my favorite Disney
Goofy
movies.
movie fucks.
That movie fucks. That movie's so good. It has good music. It has great animation. It has a good story. The
impeccable characters.
The worst part about that movie is it's not even movie length. It's like 50 minutes long.
It's pretty short.
It's so fucking short.
Also, they never fucking did anything with Powerline ever again.
Yeah, what the hell?
One of the coolest Disney characters ever.
If you listen to each other's heart, you'll find... What?
That's as much as we're allowed to sing.
Oh, I'm sure I could sing more of it. But,
maybe.
High Impulse. That movie is literally the 90s. I remember I teared up watching it in the theater. That movie's so good.
Yes.
Also, bad. My mom would get lost all the time when I was a kid. When we were driving, we ended up going the exact opposite direction to get to my grandpa's house once. And we ended up like 4 hours away from his house. My family has been cursed with a terrible sense of direction.
I can't fathom that. Like, obviously, I'm not saying it's not true. It's just, I've always existed in this realm of reality where I have perfect map recognition. If I've been somewhere before, even though I don't know the name of any streets or anything, I can find my way back there without issue. I have a perfect map memory.
I do my best to try and commit like things to memory and to try and remember like road names and stuff. And I do. That's how I am able to get around without like having to use my GPS for literally everything. But there are still times where I'm like not far away and I'm like, okay, how do we get back to our house? And Case has to be like, you literally go over there. And I'm like, okay, sorry. My sense of direction is absolute shit and I try my best, but my god, I don't know what the deal is with my brain. I have no compass. None. However, I do have a good internal clock. My internal clock takes up where the compass would be, I guess.
I have a decent internal clock. It's not bad.
Yes.
I
Hell
wouldn't,
yeah.
like, be able to, like, be sat in a dark room, though, for hours and pinpoint what hour it is.
I can go on a walk without my phone and judge how long the walk is, pretty much, like, to the minute.
I cannot. That is something I cannot do.
I'll be, like, walk in for, like, 15 minutes and then be like, all right, I'm gonna turn back, and then I'll have a 30-minute walk. Amazing. Anyway, it's very tangential stream today. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, chat. But that's what people are here for, I think.
Don't apologize.
People-
This is your stream. You can talk about whatever.
People enjoy the tangents on the Higurashi streams. That's what I hear, even from the comments on the VODs and stuff. So I'm providing the tangents, the Goofy movie tangents. Anyway, what is it? Uh-oh.
The clinic shouldn't be making any house calls today. It must have been quite an emergency, or otherwise a patient with some extenuating circumstances.
Oishi flipped through the pages, opening up to the map of Takatsudo. After that, he took a look around and started to figure out what our current location was. Are you saying that emergency is suspicious?
Didn't I say? There's hardly anybody that lives in the Takatsudo area. The road we're on right now is here. Dr. Irie came from this direction.
We can play Higurashi by ourselves, but we can't get your input. We're here for you and your ramblings at the end of the day. That's beautiful, Sheep. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh.
Having no sense of our surroundings, I couldn't digest anything about the place he was indicating on the map.
We're heading towards the spot where the wallet was found. By the way, that's over here. But see? If you're heading to one of the few residences in Takatsudo, it's the wrong road.
Meaning Dr. Irie came from a direction where there are no residents?
As long as somebody working in the field between these mountains didn't collapse. But if somebody collapses and you call a doctor, normally you'd bring them back with you for a more detailed examination. But just now Dr. Irie said it was nothing serious, and it didn't seem like anybody else was in the car with him.
Oishi didn't say any more than that. I also said nothing more. That doctor just now examined a patient close by. Only that. The noisy radio had suddenly gone quiet. The sky had just suddenly turned an oppressive color. As Oishi mused that it might start to rain, a torrential downpour started, as though trying not to disappoint him. Wow, that was sudden. Eventually, Oishi stopped the car. The only sounds to break the silence were the percussion of the rain on the roof and the soft squeak of the windshield wipers. I don't know why I said it like that.
Let's do this a bit hush-hush, shall we?
Saying that in a quiet voice, he exited the car without an umbrella, careful not to make any noise. Oishi leaned over, indicating the other side of the thicket. He was pointing to a prefabricated shed and a car that was parked beside it. The car looked obviously well cared for. It wasn't a vehicle that had been left there for several years. What's that shed?
It contains equipment used by the Forestry Service. I'd heard that they don't go near it except during the summertime.
Does that car belong to somebody from the Forestry Service, then?
Dunno. It doesn't look like an official vehicle, though.
Oishi was playing it cool, but my nervousness was gradually increasing.
Just in case.
Saying that, Oishi returned to the car. I thought he was going to get an umbrella, but he had grabbed the onboard radio instead.
Hello, this is Oishi. You read? Greetings, greetings.
Greetings!
Greetings!
Greetings! Yes, this is the Okinamiya PS. Oishi-san, we read you loud and clear. Over.
I'm currently in front of the Forestry Service's equipment shed. Ah! That scared the fuck out of me!
Oh, I love streaming the actual stream to you. Oh, I love it! It's so funny. I'm sorry.
That scared the fuck out of me. Not the one in the direction of Yaguchi, the one in Takatsudo, if you had that from Himizawa.
Yaguchi. Sorry. Affirmative, copy that.
There's some suspicious people in the shed. Proceeding to investigate. If you don't hear back from me in 5 minutes, get in touch with the local police substation and have them send a cruiser as soon as possible. If you would, please.
Understood.
Well then, shall we go take a look?
Since he was first confined here, he had heard the sound of a car multiple times. So he just thought the far-off sound was more of the same. However, the reaction from his captors was, until now, something he hadn't seen before. They jumped, reacting as if shocked by a jolt of electricity, and pressed against the window, cautiously peering outside. Kidnapper?
They stopped.
Somebody from... Oh.
From person.
Okay. Somebody from the forestry service? This is bad.
Nah, looks like a cop to me.
One of the captors lifted the boy by his collar and pressed a blade against his cheek.
Hey kid, keep quiet for a bit. I think you know this, but if you try and shout, there'll be problems.
Toshiki Inukai was sure that the doctor had reported things to the police. He had felt relief when he thought he was saved, but not imagining that his captors would resort to violence when they were cornered, his anxiety remained unabated. What do we do?
Gotta buy time. Take that kid and slip out the back. I'll meet you back here when the heat's off.
One of the perpetrators grabbed the boy by the collar and forced him to stand. Of course, Toshiki Inukai tried to resist by feigning that his illness had been aggravated by this rough treatment, but his captors paid no heed. Bang, bang, bang. The door is violently banged open.
Excuse me! Hello!
The door was banged on again. Toshiki Inukai hesitated for a moment to respond to that voice by yelling. However, while he was being indecisive, his mouth was covered, taking that option away from him. The leader of the captors waved at the other to go. The younger perpetrator nodded in response, and while keeping the boy's mouth covered, started heading towards the back door.
Yo! You need something? How do you do? This is the police. Would you mind opening the door?
Do you have a fucking warrant? Oishi?
This sudden rain is us in a bit of trouble. I'll just soap...
The moment the lock was undone, Oishi forced the door open. And with a gleam of menace in his eyes, he pushed the man aside as he stepped into the room. Then, in the small and empty room, he was able to quickly discern that the boy he was looking for was nowhere to be seen.
Mm-hmm. I heard this was an equipment shed for the forestry service, but there's nothing here at all.
There was nothing inside the room that would indicate this was an equipment shed. There was only a mountain of blankets, indicating that somebody was sleeping here, alongside empty food packets strewn about.
It's been empty for some time now. Never seen no equipment stored around here. But this is the forestry services building, isn't it? Are you from the forestry service? How about you, police?
The two of them glared at each other suspiciously. Both Oishi and the man steadfastly refused to reveal their identity before the other did. Uh-oh. Ad coming up. Snooze that. The man, judging from the sharp look in Oishi's eyes, realized that it would be hard to talk his way out of this one. No matter what he said, the most time he could buy would probably be only a few dozen seconds. Only the sound of rain filled the tense moment. Just then, they heard the sound of a struggle from far off. Oishi had a hunch. There was no doubt that Akasaka, who was circling around back, had run into the perpetrators who were trying to slip away. As Oishi thought that, the man in front of him reacted a moment faster. The man swung with an attack that was more intended to obscure Oishi's vision rather than actually hit him in the face. Seizing his opportunity, the man aimed a kick at Oishi's groin without any hesitation, but he missed his mark and was unable to land that critical blow. The man, trying to pin Oishi, grabbed him by the base of his neck with both hands, and fiercely tried to push him down. But as Oishi fell backwards, as if kicking the man upward, he dug his foot into the man's midsection. With that leg acting as a fulcrum, the man was flung by the falling Oishi as if by a circle throw. The two of them squared off in the pouring rain.
Isn't this interesting? You wanna go?
Oishi, as if trying to cheer himself on, grinned smugly. He then stood up while brushing the mud off himself. Even though he countered the assault, Oishi was getting up rather awkwardly compared to the man who he threw, who swiftly sprang to his feet. Oishi-san! Hurry! Akasaka's voice rang out from the distance. Judging from the distress in his voice, he was already engaged in a fight and wanted Oishi to reconvene with him. But Oishi's hands were full as well.
Akasaka-san! Sorry, but can you wait a bit?
The man raised both fists into a stance that hinted at him being acquainted with karate or some other form of martial art. Of course, Oishi, as an officer of the law, was decently versed in judo.
Of course.
He also had the moxie to have been through his fair share of fights before. Because of that, he could tell that the man in front of him was quite a bit better at fighting than he was. Ah, damn it! Thinking that this was going to be easy just because the order came from the Sonozaki family to release the hostage had been a mistake!
You're pretty good. It's been a while since I got this worked up.
You're pretty good. Oishi played off the situation like it was no sweat. His opponent, seeing his attitude, took that to mean that Oishi wasn't going to go down easy. The man wildly charged forward, attempting to grab Oishi. If the man managed a successful clinch from his low stance, Oishi would be tackled to the ground and end up being mounted. Oh, Ayo. It was something you saw often when children fought, but it really was a bad position since you couldn't be. Let me calm down a little bit. Since you couldn't do much once you were in it.
Yeah, you excited by Oishi getting pinned?
No, I am trying to read faster because it's an intense moment. And so I keep stumbling over my words. Hang on, let me take a sip.
You want me to take over?
No, I'm good. Oishi, responding to that move, also lowered his stance to collide with the man head-on. The moment they clashed, Oishi grabbed the man's lapel. As he yanked the lapel upwards, he smashed into the man's solar plexus with the elbow of the same arm. It was a move from Oishi's own personal brand of brawling judo. He then grabbed on with his free hand and attempted to throw his opponent with both hands. But the man lowered his center of gravity and swung his arms in a large arc, entwining them with Oishi's. Not only that, but he had forced both of Oishi's elbows to the outside, and Oishi, now in an awkward position, was in danger of exposing his back with his hand still clutching the man's chest. This guy practiced Aikido or grappling, didn't he? Oishi, cursing the fact that his fingers were twisted into the man's shirt and couldn't get away, released his grip. But he was still in the awkward position of being bent over. This is a good time to read the chat message. Spoony just loves that old man yaoi. Yeah, I'm getting all flustered over the old man yaoi. Oh no!
I know I am.
And to top it off, at zero range, the man was able to read Oishi's movements completely as he tried to squirm his way into a better position. And then took the palms of his hands and swiftly clapped them over both of Oishi's ears.
Ah!
Clapping the ears in any other martial art except for self-defense was basically forbidden. Cool, thanks for snoozing that.
You're welcome.
Karate and judo didn't recognize it as a legal technique. It was that much of a simple and dangerous attack. I love all these uses of exclamations. Oishi raised both his hands as he tried to reflexively clutch at his own ears. But before that could happen, the man wrapped his arms around Oishi's neck. His thick biceps clenched firmly around the base of Oishi's neck like a vice.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah! We're just over here like, yeah! Yeah! Oishi instinctively thought he was going to be killed. After all, it wasn't hard to believe that a man like this, who was accustomed to fighting, could crush his opponent's neck from this position. Uh-oh. But his opponent didn't do that. He had chosen to keep his hold and force Oishi to lose consciousness. That's why Oishi, at that moment, even though his face was twitching, was grinning widely. Even though his opponent had a chance to kill him, he didn't choose to. He was thinking. Do you want to read that? Wait.
This guy has no intention of killing me.
Yay. However, even though that might be the case, the man's hold on his neck was by no means gentle. In no time at all, Oishi's consciousness began to fade. Having the experience of being taken down countless times in judo during his student days, Oishi was utterly resigned to the fact that it was over. I'm having flashbacks to Slay the Princess because of how often in Slay the Princess you just die a slow, painful death, and it's kind of awesome. You should play that game. It's fucking crazy.
So I keep being told.
I should give it to you.
I just gotta ask, me and who? Me and you, Julian Naps. We are in this shit together.
We are brawling in the rain as bros, as men.
Exactly. Exactly.
Akasaka was finally recovering from the intense
rain
pain.
Cascading our beautiful naked chests. Sweat mingling.
Whoa! Holy shit! Akasaka was finally recovering from the intense pain of being kicked in a rather sensitive area. Oh, Gil. He had bumped into the captor carrying the boy by the back entrance. He had seen Toshiki Inokai's picture plenty of times, but wasn't able to immediately ascertain if the boy in front of him was the real deal, with his mouth covered in packing tape.
Well,
Ouch.
regardless if it's the real deal or not, there's a small boy being carried around with packing tape over his mouth, so, you know, you can probably make an educated guess.
You should probably do something about that, sir.
Yeah.
Also, with his limited experience, it wasn't hard for him to panic over how to deal with the situation. Of course, the perpetrator didn't overlook this momentary lapse. His kick landed squarely in a critical spot, with Akasaka not even having time to call for help. As the man flung the boy over his shoulder, he headed towards the front of the shed. But upon hearing Oishi's bellowing voice, he gave up on going that direction. He then dashed off towards the forest, as if the weight of the boy slung over his shoulder wasn't even there. Akasaka was lost for a moment. Meeting up with Oishi, who was fighting with the enemy, was by far the safer option. But he couldn't just lose sight of the fleeing man! Akasaka stood up and chased after the captor's back. He ran through a short thicket, branches and fallen leaves crunching underfoot. The tips of branches raked and clawed at him, small scratches inscribing themselves on his body one after another. He kept on stepping into puddles and mud, and his shoes were soon filled with murky water. For Akasaka, traveling through this unexplored forest was, even though this was an emergency situation, extremely unpleasant. I mean, the whole situation is extremely unpleasant, but okay.
Yeah, it's not great.
Stop! This is the police! Halt! As he said that, he regretted it immediately, as it was but a waste of breath. There wasn't a thief in the world that would politely stop when told to by the police. To a city boy like Akasaka, running through this forest was an arduous task. However, it must have been no easy task either for the man carrying the minister's grandson. He neither gained nor lost ground in his pursuit. Akasaka, upon realizing that, gained back a bit of composure. Just keep on chasing him. We are running in the same conditions. In fact, the man running with an awkward stride was at far more of a disadvantage. They couldn't run forever. Eventually, he'd definitely trip and fall. As he was being hounded, he would definitely stumble. And soon his wish was fulfilled. Whoa! Whoa! The man, who had stepped in something and lost his balance, was no longer able to bear the weight of the boy, dropping him. Akasaka, in all honesty, didn't care about the perpetrator at all, just as long as he could ensure the safety of Toshiki Inokai. So if the perpetrator ran off by himself, it was perfectly acceptable. But it seemed that Toshiki Inokai was important to the man as well, and didn't choose to run away, empty-handed. Akasaka didn't know what to do in this kind of situation. His first priority should probably be to ensure the safety of the boy, subduing his captor being less important. Grappling with the perpetrator wasn't something he planned on. But most likely, it was either do or die. Akasaka's moment of indecision proved to be fatal. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Oh, shit.
Oh god, there's zombies! Fuck! Kite 512! Thank you for...
That ended so fast.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, it does. Because it transitions into gameplay so fast. But anyway, thank you for the raid, Kite. How was your stream? How was your art? How did you do? Did you do good? Did you win? Amazing.
Did you win at art?
Did you win at art? Welcome into the middle of Higurashi. Let me... There we go. There you go. How'd that follow? You, Raiders, you are probably going to be really lost if you haven't already experienced, up until this point in Higurashi. We're in the middle of chasing a kidnapper, with a boy that we've been looking for. So, there's a lot going on. So if you're like, oh god, I'm lost and confused, I'm sorry, that's just gonna be with the territory. And sorry about this crazy penis music happening right now. But hello, I'm Spoony the Spooky Cat. I stream wacky, weird, creepy, and wet games, and I'm here with my friend Cal, and we're doing Higurashi Sunday, which we have been doing for like 2 years now, it feels like, but it's a different day every time. Been working on a character sheet. Hell yeah! Gonna scoot, go make dinner. Enjoy your dinner. Thank you again for the raid, and welcome everybody. Enjoy the vibes of chasing down this kidnapper. I'm gonna take a sip of water before continuing. I'm getting really into this narration, can you tell?
Yes.
Sick.
Good.
Akasaka's moment of indecision proved to be fatal. The man, aiming right between, or rather, for both of Akasaka's eyes, struck out with a jab. Not wanting that, Akasaka raised both his hands to shield his face. At that moment, the man kicked at his unguarded midsection. The pain almost felt like his vital organs were being squeezed out of his body, but he latched onto his opponent's leg. But his opponent didn't hesitate one bit. Leading with his seized foot, the man jumped at Akasaka, applying pressure and pushing him down. Akasaka was unable to withstand that and fell, but under no circumstances was he letting that leg go. The two men fell together in a tangled heap. The man was desperate to pull his leg free from Akasaka, but having fallen in an awkward position, was unable to. The two of them rolled around on the ground, floundering about, trying to gain an advantage. But Akasaka, who was holding onto his opponent's knee with both hands, and that opponent, who had complete freedom to move his upper body, were in two completely different situations. The man gained a positional advantage on Akasaka, who was still latched onto his leg and couldn't move away, and pounded full force on his head with both of his fists. Not only that, he found a rock nearby and beat it against Akasaka's skull! Fuck!
Ow.
Fuck! Akasaka, rest in peace! The difference between being hit with a fist and being hit with a rock was vast! Yeah, no shit, dude. Akasaka quickly thought of letting go of the man's leg to free his hands to protect his head, but if he let go here, the man would get away. If he didn't dig in here, everything would be for naught. The boy he was trying to save was right there. He was going to save him and go back to Tokyo. If he could do that, then it was goodbye to this freakish village. Without looking, I could tell my forehead had split open and was gushing blood. Oh, we're back to Akasaka? Alright. But I didn't let go of the man's leg. How could I? I won't let go. When the man realized that no matter how much he beat my head, he wasn't getting away, he used both his hands to grab my throat, as if to crush my windpipe. I pulled my head back as a slight form of resistance, but it was no use. The man's hands enveloped my neck and began to crush it like a vice. It was less about the pain of not being able to breathe, so much as it was choking so hard, I felt like I was going to throw up. It felt like my stomach was going to turn itself inside out. Oh, we're out of snoozes. Oh no, but I could only endure it. Damn it, damn it, damn it! My throat hurts! I won't let go. I can't let go. I didn't want to be here. I wanted to resolve this and go back to Tokyo and talk to Yukie all about our unborn child. We were going to talk about our bright future. I had no intention of loosening my grip. However, it loosened just a bit, and the man's leg came free. The man kicked as hard as possible, and I tumbled backwards. My head was spinning, and I was unable to get up right away. No, I couldn't even put any strength into getting up in the first place. Even so, I couldn't back down. If I let him escape now, this chance would never come again. Even just catching their scent was nothing short of a miracle. If we weren't able to get the minister's grandson back here, there wouldn't be another chance. The man tried to drag the boy to his feet, but the kid was displaying some unexpected resistance, allowing me to get up unnoticed. I grasped the rock the man had just beat me over the head with. Now it's my turn. The rock should be able to supplement what meager strength I had left, adding more than enough power to my attack. My fist, still wrapped around the rock, dug into the side of the man's torso. It seemed like it hurt him quite a bit. You can... Yeah. The man rolled around for a bit, clutching his side. Freed from the man's grip, the boy hid behind me. Do you want to read for Akasaka as I do the narration?
Toshiki Inakai, right? I've come to help you.
To the boy! Those are the words he was waiting for the most. But the crisis was still not over. That was because even though he was still clutching at his side, the man had gotten up again and had taken a fighting stance. I could see in the man's eyes the resentment at the pain I had caused him and the confidence that he could still beat me. If we were to clash head-on again, he might not even stop if my head were split open.
Stop resisting! Surrender quietly! You should just hand the boy over. You want me to snap your neck? Who would listen to you now? Reinforcements are already on their way. There's nowhere for you to run!
The man reacted adversely to the words reinforcements. That was because he now knew that arguing like this wasn't just waste of time, but put him closer and closer to danger. Realizing that, the man shifted mental gears almost too quickly.
And let's finish this fast. How about this? What?
What the man pulled from his back pocket was, of all things, a gun. Of course, I'm a police officer. It's not like I don't know what a gun is. But having one pointed at me was something I'd never experienced before. Was it real? Of course it was! There's no way it'd be a replica in a situation like this.
Put both your hands behind your head and lay down quietly.
Put both your heads behind your hand.
Listen.
I'm sorry.
Don't get cocky, you villain! Great. Nice job, Akasaka. I won't do anything you say. You stupid idiot! Do you know what this is without me shooting you with it? Then shoot! Reinforcements will hear the gunshot and head right over here. Are you stupid? We're in the middle of a forest! And on top of that, it's raining. They'll never hear a thing.
As long as he still held that gun, no matter how much I yelled at him, I was at a distinct disadvantage. But I still had a fighting chance. If I were in his shoes, instead of wasting time yelling at each other like this, I would just shoot him and take the boy. That way was the fastest, and would suppress any sort of further resistance from him. But the man was demanding my surrender, without having fired a shot, meaning that he either didn't want to shoot, or couldn't. In other words, the man in front of me was soft. If I could buy even just a little more time, the factors that would lead to my victory were numerous. Oishi was probably on his way, and the reinforcements we called for before coming here should already be well on their way too. Not only that, they should have contacted the local police box. Without a doubt, somebody stationed in the village would be here much quicker than that. More quicker. 15 seconds till that ad. I don't think we're gonna make it. Oh,
Damn
no.
it. Do I have to put a bullet in you to understand how dangerous this thing is? There's no escape. Don't add to your crimes.
At that moment, I heard the rustling of foliage and heavy footsteps approaching. If Oishi was coming here, it was a whole new ballgame. The man couldn't have more than one gun.
Oishi-san! Over here! Over here! Huh?
I had thought that time was on my side, but I had failed to even imagine that the enemy could also have reinforcements. You could tell the man who had just appeared was one of the perpetrators just by looking at him. Oh, what are you doing? If you don't hurry up, the police will get here. Stop lollygagging!
Damn it. What happened to Oishi-san?
Ah, the chubby fella? He's down here for the count.
He is? Damn it.
The boy, sensitive to the impending danger, curled up behind my back. How could this be? Damn it!
Your buddy isn't coming. Serves you right. Shoes on the other foot now.
As I backed up against a large tree while still protecting the boy, the second man also pulled out a gun. Won't be saying this twice. Put your hands on your head and lie down.
I refuse.
Dead. As I shouted in protest, blood erupted from my left shoulder. It took a few moments to register that I had been shot. Compared to the ones from in movies and TV dramas, the first actual gunshot I heard was simple and mundane. In fact, the sound was more akin to the small fireworks I used to buy from the corner store as a kid. But there was no comparing the pain. It was a fear you knew only after you've been shot. I'll be Toshiki.
Sir, are you okay? Are you okay?
The boy, in his confusion, tugged at my clothes, agitating the wound even further. I wanted to put on a bold face and reassure him, but my voice was hoarse and had the opposite effect.
I'm alright. I've already called for backup. There'll be a full squad here soon.
It'll be quicker to put one through your head before the cops get here. But the family said no needless killing, so I'm taking it easy on you. Don't mess with me, or I ain't holding back. This was bad. It was very, very bad. The second man was completely different, a completely different beast than the first. He had no signs of indecisiveness or mercy. If this man said he'd shoot, he'd shoot. He wasn't somebody that a man like me could buy time from. I really hated to admit it, but at that moment, the image of Yukie's smiling face crossed the back of my mind. I knew what that meant. I was warning myself to not throw my life away over a matter of pride. Of course I didn't want to die here. I was just starting a new life with Yukie, and I wanted to see the face of our soon-to-be-born child. Why should I risk my life for some minister's grandson when I was at such a critical juncture in my own life? Ah! Damn it! Damn it! I need to stop rambling at myself. So what do I do now? Give up the boy and extend my own life? What a good idea. Everybody's life is precious. My own life was in danger. Nobody would blame me. Ah, god damn it, it hurts! It hurts! If I had known it would be this painful, I wouldn't have played the tough guy. My biggest miscalculation, though, was that the sound of the gunshot was far quieter than I had imagined. My choice was calculated, but boy, am I bad at math.
Yeah.
If it was only that loud, it would be drowned out by the rain in the forest. It wasn't something that somebody far away could hear. This is the right answer. This is the wrong answer. Do we want to see the bad ends?
No, I don't think so.
Alright. Alright, plead for my life. Ooh.
Damn it.
Ooh.
Wait, just wait. I don't want to die.
And I don't want to kill ya. As long as you understand.
Slong.
Slong.
Don't shoot, okay?
As long as you understand.
Don't shoot. I have a wife waiting for me at home. I don't want to die.
Oh yeah, I intentionally chose, I want the wrong prompts to be highlighted. I won't shoot as long as you don't yell or nothing. Just quietly put your hands on your head and lie down.
Will you really? Will you really? You keep your promise, right? This is a promise between men.
I will. It's a promise between men.
Keep your promise. Keep it. I'm gonna get down on the ground, okay? I'm getting down. I'll keep my promise, so stop pointing that gun at me. You're still thinking you're shooting me, aren't you? You wanna shoot me, don't you? When I get down on the ground, you're just gonna shoot me in the back of the head, aren't you?
I won't. Fine. I'll put it away. I'll put the gun away. I'm channeling my Mike Ehrmantraut. It's a promise between men. There. Now no problem now, right?
Yeah, absolutely no complaints.
Ah! It was over in a flash. The moment he lowered his gun, Oishi didn't let his chance slip by. Oishi had been assessing the situation for quite some time from behind the two men. But since they had their guns trained on me, he didn't really have a chance to jump in. Seeing the look on Oishi's face, indicating that he wanted me to create an opening, I took on that role completely. Oishi forcefully lifted the arm that was holding the gun. He then took the gun from the man's hand in only an instant. The other man, who was a bit slow in grasping what was happening, pointed his gun at them, but with his ally grappling with Oishi, he couldn't pull the trigger. If that man was the one that was wrestling with Oishi at the moment, he might have shot without hesitation. But this man wouldn't shoot. He couldn't shoot. Oishi kicked the other man away, and while aiming the stolen gun with his left hand, pulled out his own. With guns akimbo, he was aiming at both men at the same time.
I do believe that's checkmate.
It was perfectly played, but heedless of the guns pointed at them, the men shouted "Scram!" as they scattered away at full speed. It was over in an instant. Those two running away without putting up a fight was honestly unexpected. Oishi, quietly clicking his tongue in admonishment, slipped both guns into his pants pockets.
Those guys know their stuff.
Should I be back to Akasaka? Yeah. Okay. What do you mean?
An officer won't fire at somebody who's fleeing. I want to keep my pension here.
Oishi and I grinned at each other.
Are you Toshiki Inakai-kun? The grandson of Minister of Construction Inakai?
Yes.
This is gonna be a major incident. We probably should have cut the tail off the lizard, though.
Oishi smiled amusedly. The fact that Onigafuchi Guardians, or rather the Sonozaki family behind them, was pulling the strings was apparent, but proving it wouldn't be easy. And, with apologies to Oishi, this incident was unlikely to go public. If this caused an uproar, it would obviously lead to the minister losing his office. With HQ having decided that doing so was in the national interest, damn it, this would probably be cleaned up quietly. It might be a rough way of saying it, but this was born in the shadows, and was going to die in the shadows. Oishi probably already understood the implications behind this incident.
For the time being, let's cordon off the area, since it seems that one of them still has a gun. After that, let's get Inakai-kun to safety and get you to the hospital.
As the tension in the situation faded, the pain from the gunshot wound in my shoulder blossomed once again. My forehead was also stinging painfully, and had grown hot enough to start a fire. Thinking that the tension had caused me to sweat, I wiped my forehead, but what came off was a large amount of blood. I realized that my shirt had been stained bright crimson from the blood flowing from my head. I turned around. The boy was safe and sound. Without a doubt. There would probably be an investigation on the men who ran, but that was for another day. At this point in time, I could safely say we had cleared the major hurdle of securing the boy's safety. As soon as I recognized that, it felt like the lights in my head had been hit by a power failure. My knees buckled from underneath me, the ground there feeling as soft as a cloud. It didn't feel unpleasant, even as I was covered in the rain-soaked mud. Oishi came closer, asking if I was okay, but somehow I couldn't tell. I turned off the switch to the last light in my head. The exhaustion enveloped me. Sleep. Something softer than any blanket wrapped around me. End of the chapter?
Do you think that's a good time for a break?
Yeah, for an actual break.
Yeah.
To anybody who was stuck in the ad, you probably deduced already that Akasaka got shot.
He got popped in the shoulder.
He got shot in the shoulder. Alright. He's saying, like, A minor.
Shout out to Kendrick, dog.
Hell yeah, love him. Anyway, let's take an actual break. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah!
Hell yeah, at least the painful music. Did you want me to keep your audio on, or you head to the bathroom or
I'm
anything?
gonna go pee!
Go pee!
I'm gonna!
Alright, we're back. We have pissed.
I pissed.
Pissing pals. Sorry.
No.
Let's not say that ever again.
Alright, let's do the tip.
Let's do just the tip.
Ugh. I drank water weird.
Whoops.
Should I do the narration for this one?
Yeah, you can go for it.
Patients admitted to the hospital can only accept calls at fixed times. That's why she wouldn't be receiving a call from him today. Yesterday she had teased him that he got lonely easily, so he might have struggled with the idea of calling her sooner. That was much easier to imagine, rather than he might just be too busy to call. Because he's just that type of person. Yukie, whispering that, smiled to herself. The announcement that visiting hours were over played over the hospital intercom along with some music. She exchanged pleasantries with the family of the patient that was staying in the same room as her. Probably eager for his mother to be discharged, their small child was wearing a beaming smile. That child's mother was pregnant on the bed next to mine, with what may be their new brother or sister. They were probably ready to burst with the expectations, dreams, and worries of having a new sibling. The joys of a growing family. Bathing in those warm feelings, I stroked my own belly, which had grown quite large. I had talked with him about how many children we wanted to have. We talked about how if we had 3, it would certainly be lively. However, there was the inescapable worry of whether I would be able to handle giving birth that many times.
There isn't a mother out there who would hate to give birth because of that worry, though.
Yukie, smiling as she said that to herself, gently stroked her stomach. The Metropolitan Public Safety Division. The place where that man's sense of justice had led him. That person was actually a very gentle, very fragile person. He didn't talk much about the specifics, but I didn't think he was suited for the assignment he was on right now. But as long as he said he was going to try his best, I would watch over him warmly.
Your father, you see, is a very hard worker, you know.
Coochie coochie coo!
Yukie seemed to be enjoying herself as she talked to her own belly.
Did Discord cut my coochie coochie coo out?
It did not. I just ignored it. At that moment, Yukie suddenly became concerned about something and looked out the window.
Uh-oh. Mort's about to...
Gucci Gucci Goo.
Thank you! Thank you, Mort! That was so cute!
He knows how to say Gucci.
He knows how to say Gucci, apparently. He learned. Wow. Good job, Mort. You already read that, didn't you?
Long ago. She remembered that when she was little, around this time in the countryside where her grandmother lived, the Higurashi would... I can't see the fucking text box!
Is that green fur? Or is that a different cutter? Anyway. Hello. Greetings. Continue. Sorry.
The Higurashi would fill the air with their chorus. This was the middle of Tokyo. Unlike in the countryside, you couldn't hear the song of the Higurashi. For some reason, at that moment, Yukie felt that she wanted to hear that song.
Wow. Beautiful. It is Cutter. You hate your name change? I'm sorry. You have to wait like 6 months or something to change it again. Alright.
Shall we continue?
We shall. We're about halfway through the stream. And this has 6 chapters altogether, and we're about to start chapter 5. So
Yes.
I think we'll have at least one more stream. At least one more. I guess we'll play it by ear.
I think we'll have 2 more at most. At most.
Okay, got it. Let's see how far into chapter 5 we can get then. 60 days. My bad. I was wrong. That was my first time losing consciousness. I don't know, buddy.
You ever been knocked out before?
You ever been to sleep? I guess
I don't think that's quite the same thing.
I guess Akasaka has never been to sleep. I think I have passed out very briefly a few times when I had really bad cramps. And I was at school and I would like put my head down on the desk and basically like fall asleep for a second. But it was, it was passing out from pain And then my teachers would be like, "What are you doing?" And I'd be like, "I'm sorry, I'm in so much pain." I often hear of regaining consciousness on top of a bed, but this was my first time actually experiencing it. When I was in the army training, I had a weird moment where I like passed out without actually passing out. That's kind of what I feel like I've experienced, if that makes any sense. Hi, Moss. Enjoy your lurk. Hello? Irie?
Hello? Are you okay?
Realizing that I was awake, a young doctor called out to me. I didn't intend to respond, but it seems my body language had told him I was conscious. My head was wrapped in bandages. The scratches all over my body had also been treated. My sense of pain also returned with my consciousness, causing me to groan from the intense pain shooting all throughout me.
Something that bothers me deeply about this Irie sprite is that his arms are so long.
No.
Like, maybe it's just the way that his, like, shoulders slope so far down.
I think it's the coat that makes his arms look too long. They are anatomically correct, though.
He looks like an orangutan to me, and it makes me very uncomfortable.
His arms are correct. The way
it just looks weird.
So, the thing I remember, and this is gonna sound weird and dumb, the wrist is at level with the groin, and the hands are a little past the groin. And that's how I remember.
That's if you got normal, not T-Rex arms like me.
I suppose. I didn't know you had T-Rex arms. What's going on?
I got little arms.
You got little arms?
And I was just born that way.
Oh.
They're not, like, actually extremely small, but, like, they definitely don't go that far down.
Damn.
I have little hands and little arms.
I knew somebody, I had a friend who, like, crashed on, like, the street or something while rollerblading and broke their growth plate in their wrist or something, in their arm? Somewhere in their arm. And so one of their arms is, like, 3 inches shorter than their other arm. Like, significantly.
Google something.
But, God. So after running up a hill, my vision just went really bright and abstract, and hearing sounded like a high-pass filter and was turned up all the way, but I somehow remained standing. Yeah, that's happened to me before. I remember one time, while I was in pain from... It was always from cramps. It was always from cramps. This is why I take things to make my cramps never happen. But... So I was in middle school, and I was waiting to get inside the classroom, and since school in Florida, we didn't have, like, indoor, like, hallways. All the entrances to classrooms were outside for some reason. That's just a thing in Florida. It was hot as fuck. It was, like, 90 degrees, and I was standing waiting to go into my class, and my ears started ringing, and my vision started, like, going black. And there was, like, a filter over it, and it was fucked up. And yeah, it was like a high pass filter, and, like, everybody was talking, but it sounded like the Charlie Brown parents. And I remember, like, it was like English class or literature or language arts or something like that. And at the beginning of that class, we had to write a journal entry. We would get, like, a prompt, and we'd have to write something. And I just remember, like, I couldn't even see the lines on my page, and I was, like, trying to write, and then I looked back at it, and I was like, oh, that looks like a kindergartner, like, who wrote for the first time in their life. It was insane. I've
been, like, staring at the Wikipedia page for the growth plate for a minute or so now.
Are you learning?
I'm learning. I didn't know this was a thing.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing until that friend told me that story, and then, like, held both their arms out, and one of their hands was short, or one of their arms was shorter, and I was like, whoa, what a story.
I have a sneaking suspicion that one of my legs is, like, significantly longer than the other. Not to a point where you would notice it looking at me, but I notice it when walking, because I can't walk straight properly, and walking for a long time puts a lot of knotted pressure in one part of my back on my left side. So whenever I put on shoes with like any height to them, not like high heels, but like with like slight lifts or anything like that, you can like very slightly see where my hip is cocking to make up the difference.
That could be scoliosis.
Maybe. I don't know, though.
Could be slightly crooked back causing that to
Perhaps.
make it perhaps. One more aside regarding losing consciousness. There have been several times because I've ridden many roller coasters because my dad is a roller coaster freak, and so whenever I visit him,
Okay.
he's like, "We gotta go ride the Velocicoaster," and so we we go to all these like different parks he can go to because he works at one and then his wife works at another, and so we can get into many different parks in the Florida area. And so every time I ride a roller coaster now, I almost pass out at like really tight turns. And like specifically the first hill that most roller coasters have, once you go down, all the blood rushes to the top of my head. And
Oh no.
I start to gray out. And it's not as bad as the other story where I very nearly passed out and I had a cold sweat. And I was trying to write and I couldn't see the lines on my paper. No, it's not nearly as bad as that, but I can't really ride roller coasters anymore because of that. I have no tolerance for them. It kind of sucks. I've ridden so many and they're so fun, but man.
The elevator in one of my IRL friends' building, it moves so fast now that I get like a weird head rush riding it and it makes me feel sick.
That sucks. I do get motion sickness on elevators sometimes if they're fast enough.
The thing is, I don't get motion sick, like, about anything. I've been on boats, I've been in cars, I don't get motion sick. But in that elevator, I feel like I'm gonna die.
God. No, well, motion sickness, it can also just be like a dizziness thing. The more
Maybe.
you know. The more you know. That's a
Don't
lot.
try to get up.
Yeah.
Just stay lying down, please. It seems that you took quite a few blows to the head. I want you to stay rested so that we can monitor your condition for at least the next 24 hours.
Where is this?
This is my clinic. Pleased to meet you. My name is Irie.
I remembered that this young doctor was the one in the car headed the opposite way earlier. Is there somebody here? Where's Oishi-san?
I'll call him over.
He's dead.
Oh god. There's no smoking inside the clinic, so I had him smoke outside.
Wouldn't that be so cool if he was like, who's that?
That would be fucking crazy.
Dr. Irie left the room to go call Oishi.
Unfortunately for the rest of us, Oishi is very real.
The scenery outside the window was tinted with gold. The pouring rain had stopped, with the voices of the Higurashi heralding the cool temperature. The herald of darkness. Sorry. I just got to that part.
Something, warrior of light, I'll show you the hair. I don't remember the song very well.
Show me the champion of light. No,
That's it.
I got to that part last night, and now I understand. I know now.
But this is why I don't need to play Alan Wake 1, because I got it in a musical.
Basically, yeah.
I understood everything.
I understood everything. I felt that the tone of the Higurashi's voices was, comforting. Eventually, I could hear heavy footsteps coming closer, which I reckoned to be Oishi's. The fog that was enveloping my head slowly faded back to reality. What had happened since then? What had happened to the boy? What about the reinforcements from Tokyo? The door to the room flew open, allowing Dr. Irie... Saying doctor and then Irie right next to each other is, like, surprisingly a hard tongue twister. And Oishi to enter.
Another thing for your, like, pre-stream workouts.
I guess so. Dr. Irie. Dr. Irie. Dr. Irie. Fuck.
There's no serious damage, is there? I can't promise that. I assessed the wound to his head was dangerous the moment I saw it. Got it. I want to have a little chat alone with him for a bit. Would you mind? Yeah, go ahead. Call me if anything happens.
Oishi, after basically forcing Dr. Irie outside, shut the door. I had to have like a slight pause in between. Just bind saying it to a hotkey? That would sound so bad, though.
Every time you have to say it, it's just like, Oishi, after basically forcing Dr. Irie outside, shut the door.
What if it sounded like really like, Dr. Irie? Fuck off. That sucks.
Like, filtered through a gas mask or something?
God.
How are you feeling?
I did something I'm not used to, so I'm pretty banged up all over. Banged up, you say? Oishi brought over a folding chair that was leaning against the wall and sat down beside the bed. Were the perpetrators arrested?
Unfortunately, no. They've probably already fled the prefecture, or are being hidden by the villagers. Well, we won't let them get away.
Make it sound like the president's fitness gram pacer test. Yeah. What about the minister's grandson?
They're taking care of him at the station. But your colleagues in Tokyo are rather insistent that nothing can be recorded. Shige-chan doesn't like to do this too much.
The kidnapping was a confidential matter, so his custody was also probably being kept under wraps. How the kidnapping of the minister's grandson would be handled, how it would be covered up, treated like it never happened, would be handled by the brass. If this case ended without the nation going into an uproar about it, then our job had been done. The possibility that the minister had negotiated with the perpetrators couldn't be ruled out. But something like that was no longer my concern. Ow! Thank you for the water.
I hope you know that when you're doing that water, you're hitting me too. And I don't consent to that. And I think you're terrible people.
That's awful.
Just kidding.
My role in this case was over. Sorry for the trouble. Oh, God.
You bastard! You did that on purpose! You did that to hurt me! You did that to injure me!
You did that because Cal said stop doing it. No! No!
My own boyfriend! How could you?
I weirdly am not seeing who is redeeming these. Oh, what the heck?
We have Blake Amber Gaze, Bat, Blake Amber Gaze, Space, and then Cutter, and then Bat again. And then Space made a silly face.
I just realized, since, to do that, spray bottle redeem, it has to, hit a hotkey, it actually affects shit in the game.
Oh no.
That's not good. Oh no! It's fine, it went back to normal. Don't worry about it.
Just out of curiosity, Space, have you just come in? Or have you been, like, hiding around for a while?
Lurking.
Why do you say it like that?
Lurking. Sorry for the trouble. You must think that public safety is a rather unseemly place, don't you?
No. We all work on the government's dime.
Oishi laughed boisterously. When we first met, I was somewhat prejudiced against Oishi, but now that feeling was gone completely. Prejudiced!
It would be more convenient for us if this case was handled properly instead of being hidden away. If that happened, we'd be able to have something to go at the Sonozaki family with, since they were behind it all. That's true, he did get capped.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if we just start poking around, we'll get all sorts of pressure put on us, though. What a mess.
Are you going to continue the fight against the Sonozaki family after this?
Nah. There are all sorts of dark rumors swirling around them, but it's not like I have a personal grudge. It'd be wise not to step on any toes around here.
Little did he know, he continues this shit for the next 5 fucking years.
This absorbs his life.
Oishi laughed happily, and I couldn't help but laugh along. Ha ha ha!
Ah, that's right. There was word at the station from the prefectural office. Or the prefectural police. Your colleagues arrived at Nagoya, and are driving up here right now. You've got the battle scars, so you're being recalled to Tokyo, apparently. That's how it's shaking up. Good job. Your work in Okinomiya is safely over.
I was being recalled to Tokyo. I inadvertently breathed a sigh of relief when I heard those words. I'm deeply thankful for your cooperation, Oishi-san. It seems the collaboration fee I paid you didn't go to waste.
I kind of meant that as a joke, though.
Oishi took out his wallet, casually pulled out several large bills, and jammed them into the breast pocket of my shirt.
This isn't a refund on the collaboration fee, you hear? This is just me gifting you a little spending money. The booze around here is pretty good. Use this to buy yourself a little souvenir.
I want some booze. Oishi flashed me a grin.
If your injuries turn out to be not too serious, call me before you head back to Tokyo, will ya? The old man and Sato-san said they'd like to sit at a table with you again.
Oh my. Can't refuse that.
And no tricks this time. Just some plain old fun.
They always say that. This world is done for if an active officer can cheat that blatantly.
It's not often that we meet someone who's more than a match for us. It's too bad you're going back to Tokyo.
When I heard the words "going back to Tokyo" from Oishi, I was reminded once again that I was relieved from my duties. Soon, Yukie would be giving birth. It might still be possible to attend the delivery that I had at one time given up on. When I thought that, the pain from my injuries became trivial. I wanted to hurry back to Tokyo and see Yukie at once.
Can you pretend that your injuries are a bit more serious and hang around Okinamiya for a bit? I can introduce you to a few nice places. Of course, I won't make you pay for everything.
I'm terribly sorry, but I'll have to take a rain check on that. My wife is due to give birth any day now. I want to hurry back home.
Oh my, oh my! I didn't know that! Then you shouldn't be hanging around here!
Uh-oh.
It's not delivered.
You have to hurry back home.
It's DiGiorno.
DiGiorno?
We are not DiGiorno's pizza-ing a baby.
It's a joke.
I know.
It's there was this funny comic that there's this funny comic I saw forever ago on DeviantArt where there was this pregnant woman and someone was like, "When's the delivery?" And she was just like with a very serious face was like, "It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno." And the other person was like, For a while after that, Oishi asked all sorts of questions about my wife, teasing and bantering with me.
Well then, how do you feel? Think you can get up?
Yeah, it's not so bad, thanks to you. I can get up and walk, no problem. I stood up and shuffled around for a bit, which seemed to amuse Oishi.
Nah, I just thought you might not feel comfortable at a hospital in Hinamizawa. Dr. Irie said he wanted you to stay overnight. But we still haven't caught the perpetrators. For the time being, this is enemy territory for you after all.
Are you saying this hospital isn't safe?
Well, Dr. Irie is somebody who's well regarded in the community.
Hi, Rory G. Hi, Rory. Hi.
I don't think anything will happen while you're here, but I'm more worried about your mental health.
I had relaxed a bit now that things had progressed this far, but it was exactly as Oishi had said. When I realized that this was enemy territory, I suddenly felt uncomfortable. With leaving being the only thing left for me to do, the chance that I would come to harm was logically fairly low. But that didn't mean I was completely safe. That's right. If I'm just going to be lying down, then doing it in a hotel bed won't be all that different.
Right. I also think that's for the best.
At that moment, I caught a glimpse of the clock over Oishi's shoulder. It was the evening. The hours when I could call Yukie at the hospital were almost over. I wanted to tell her as quickly as possible that I would soon be back at her side. I want to call Yukie at the hospital. Is there a public phone in the lobby?
You newlyweds are all like this. If I recall correctly, there's one by the register. I'll be waiting here, so go ahead.
I don't think it's that unusual for a husband to want to call his wife as much as possible when she is pregnant.
It's weird. Why would you want to go talk to your bitch wife?
Jesus Christ. Oishi, you're so rude.
She wants to watch Orange, I want to watch Blue, because I want it to be blue in here.
God damn it.
My bitch wife wants to watch Orange.
What the fuck? There was a line in Lisa the Painful, my potato bitch wife or something like that. Because he's like complaining about like her wanting potato salad, And so he just starts calling her my potato bitch wife. Anyway. Potato salad bitch wife? Is that what it was? What?
Do you know what I'm referencing when I say my bitch wife wants to watch Orange?
No. What is that?
Oh, let me see if I can find it.
Nern. Yeah, that was his name. My potato bitch wife.
Yeah, here it is. I've sent it to you in Discord.
Oh, wait! Is it the Neon Genesis Evangelion? Yes. Okay. Hold on. Let me see if I can possibly put this on the stream.
I'm not just being misogynistic, I'm making a specific reference.
I wonder how well GIFs will play. Hang on.
I don't know.
Let's see. Okay, it's not gonna play the GIF.
Just know that they are changing the channel between orange and blue repeatedly.
It would take me a little longer to make it play the GIF, but... There we go. Alright.
It's fine. Now everyone knows.
Now everyone knows. Now everyone knows. Let me get back to it. Oishi, laughing while saying that he was jealous, opened up the window and pulled out a cigarette, even though he was in a hospital room. What a bitch. Appreciative at how considerate Oishi was. I set out to the lobby to find the phone. The lobby was just a short distance down the hallway from the hospital room. The music stopped. I know some shit is about to happen. I thought
that content warning is there for a reason.
Oh yeah, no, that content warning has been at the back of my head this entire fucking playthrough, and every time...
There was no way that I could put it up without, like, putting some spoilers, so I was just like, I'm just gonna accept it.
Just accept it. It's like DDLC, how DDLC warns you, hey, content warning at the beginning of the game, and you play like 3 hours and you're like, what? When is that content warning? And then you forget about it, and then it comes back, and you're like, no! I thought this hospital was a bit too grand for a village like this, but of course, it was nothing compared to the general hospital Yukie was admitted to. I love that little alligator.
Yeah, the desk alligator is my favorite Higurashi character.
I love him. Running inside a hospital wasn't the best of manners, but calling hours would soon end, so I dashed over in a hurry.
This is going to be a big lost joke, isn't it? I would never put jokes in the content warning. That defeats the purpose.
There was nobody else in the lobby. It may have been the evening, but there was nobody at the reception desk. Well, this might actually be lucky for me. I wasn't planning to have a conversation to feel guilty about, but it would still be embarrassing to have someone listen to the conversation between me and Yukie. Taking a quick look around, I soon found the payphone. Digging around in my pockets, I grabbed a few coins. I was calling Tokyo from here, so I would burn through this amount fairly quickly. I picked up the receiver and inserted a coin, then dialed the number for Yukie's hospital, which I had completely memorized at this point. For
children in the audience, 1, go away. 2, this is referencing when phones were rotary.
Yep. The number for Yukie's hospital had a lot of 8s and 9s, so dialing it in inevitably took some time. Normally, it wouldn't be a big deal, but currently, any time was precious. I don't think I ever saw a payphone that was a rotary phone. That's interesting. However, I felt that something was strange as I was dialing in the number. I don't know exactly how to put it, but it was as if the receiver was too quiet. That unique white noise from the telephone line wasn't there. Somehow, I felt that I wasn't getting any feedback from the phone. Without feeling a response, I hung up the receiver to try again. The coin popped out from the return slot. I reinserted the coin and began dialing once again, but the receiver was still dead silent. What is this? Is it disconnected? While I was wasting time like this, the amount I had to spend talking with Yukie shrunk. I began to feel needlessly impatient. Excuse me. Felt the presence of someone on the other side of the glass, so I called out. There was an immediate response, and a man who seemed like a pharmacist came over.
Aren't rotary phones before your guys' time too? No, I had one when I was a kid.
Yeah, there were a few rotary phones. There were a few rotary
They're
phones.
not that old.
They weren't super common, but I did see them. My grandparents had a rotary phone. Did you already read? Yes, how could I help you?
Yes. Oh, I was gonna.
I'm sorry!
It's fine. I was too slow.
You're fine. Pardon me, this phone seems to be acting a little strange. Could you take a look at it? The man came over and tried testing various things with the receiver pressed to his ear. Come to think of it, this was someone who worked at the hospital, not someone from the phone company. Just as I didn't know much about phones, neither would he.
Huh? What's this?
The man held up the cord that connected the phone to the wall. My dad also had the Mickey Mouse rotary phone, that's right.
I want that!
I think he still has it.
Anyway.
It was completely severed.
What the heck is that?
Wait, hold on. I see.
Oh, this is a dilly of a pickle. God, this fucking, like, localization. Why is everyone British? It's so weird.
I didn't know dilly of a pickle was a British thing.
It's like a very old thing that a British dandy would say.
That's pretty cute, honestly.
Can't do anything with this until somebody from the phone company comes and fixes it. If you're looking for a phone, do you want to use the one in the office?
I didn't want the people in the hospital office around while I was talking. Is there another payphone close by?
Let's see. If you leave here and follow the road, you'll come out into the shopping district. I think there's a smoke shop on the corner around there. If you head that way, you should be able to find one soon enough.
I was dressed in a hospital gown. Oh, my butt's out! I was wearing sandals on my feet. My head was wrapped in bandages. Just looking at me, you could tell I was a hospital patient. Actually, I don't know if the hospital gowns in Japan are the same way they are here, but... No matter how...
they're mostly the same.
Probably. No matter how you looked at it, I was not dressed to be wandering outside. That's where the impetuousness of youth came in. Choosing the chance to talk to Yukie for even a little longer, I headed outside in my current state. Follow the road to the shopping district. Should be able to find one soon enough. With only those 2 lines as my guide, I ran outside the gates of the hospital. With the village nestled in a valley, when the sun set, it got dark quickly. Uh-oh. The sparse streetlights lit up enough to start attracting moths. The Higurashi, knowing the time for their chorus was soon at a close, redoubled their fragile cries. Finding the payphone wasn't as easy as the person at the hospital had suggested. Was it still up ahead? Did I miss it already? Was I just getting farther away? Dilled for her pleasure. Stop!
Hey.
That's funny. Just as I was about to be crushed by the wave of uncertainty towering over me, I found a shop on the corner with cigarettes written on a small
Corgi,
sign.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about a goddamn thing, Corgi.
Don't worry about it, Corgi. Hi. My joy spurred me onwards, just as I had heard at the hospital. Set next to the counter of the cigarette shop was an antiquated payphone. I wasn't wearing a watch, so I didn't know what time it was. I probably didn't have much left, though. But it was enough. Just as long as I could tell Yukie my job was done and I would be coming home soon. Picking up the receiver, I slid a coin down the slot. But I felt that something was strange, just like at the hospital. Even after inserting the coin, the phone showed no response. I hung up the receiver and tried putting in the coin one more time, but there was absolutely no response. This phone was dead. It couldn't be. Thinking that, I felt along the cord that protruded from the back of the phone. Doing that, my hands found the end of a completely severed line. What is this? Having now had the same thing happen twice, my bafflement was accompanied by a sense of unease. It seemed that the cord had been severed cleanly by a sharp blade of some sort. And I may be mistaken, but it didn't look like much time had passed since it was cut. Excuse me? Hello? Opening up the booth window of the tobacco shop, I looked for someone in the dimly lit interior. Eventually, there were the sounds of somebody plodding down some stairs, and an old lady appeared. The old lady's plodding and lethargic steps, for some reason, only served to make me more frantic. Want to be the old woman?
You need some cigarettes? I'll need to get my husband.
I'm not here to buy cigarettes. Rather, this phone here. Realizing that saying the phone was broken and asking them to take a look at it was going to get me nowhere, I swallowed back my words. Sorry, it seems that this phone is broken, and I was wondering if you could tell me where there's another payphone? The old lady moved her jaw up and down slowly, as if chewing on the meaning of my words. It seemed that she wouldn't understand until she had digested things thoroughly.
So the phone is broken.
Ah, there it is again.
That's a dilly of a pickle. You should try another payphone.
The old lady directed me to another payphone that seemed quite a ways away. It's a fucking trap! They're leading you! Her way of telling me was so long-winded that I inadvertently started to get impatient. At that moment, I spotted a clock in the dim interior of the store. The minute hand was just about to point straight up. Even if there was a phone right here that I could use, I would only be able to tell Yukie good night with the time I had left. On top of that, my destination was a remote payphone which I didn't know the exact distance to. If I was of a normal state of mind, deciding to give up the phone today would have been the natural thought process. But at that moment, I'd become somewhat stubborn for some reason. Unable to use the phone in the hospital, and coming out here and still being unable to use one. There's no mistaking that I had become quite insistent on using a phone. Thank you very much. I'll try looking for that phone booth. Refusing her offer to draw me a map, I left the tobacco shop. According to the old lady, even though the phone booth was quite far away, it would be easy to find. If I just followed this road straight down, I'd eventually find it. Sandals flapping as I ran, I couldn't help but laugh at myself. I'll admit that I was quite steadfast about calling Yukie, but there were days when I was tired or busy when I wouldn't call her. Even today, my entire body was covered with injuries, and I was dead tired. On top of that, there wasn't much left. It wouldn't be strange at all. Today was one of those days I didn't call her. But having twice been foiled trying to call her, had I become hot-headed about it? Was I like a dog who was being told to stay with a piece of food dangled in my face? What am I doing? Even so, I somehow couldn't quell the uneasy feeling sitting in the pit in my stomach. God damn it. Kill. It was like that with the hospital phone, and the same with the one at the tobacco shop. Both cords were definitely not severed from being frayed by long years of use. The clean cuts indicated that someone had taken something sharp and deliberately cut them. Then get the fuck out of there! They are leading you! But who? And for what reason? The more I thought about it, the more uneasy I felt, so I tried to push the thought aside. How much had I run so far? The scenery around me was no longer that of a shopping district with residential buildings scattered around the lonely road. The surroundings had already grown dark. I was blatantly out too far for a quick phone call, and it was quite obvious I was far removed from the hospital. I recalled the clock I saw at the tobacco shop. It might almost be time. I had run for quite a bit, so my breathing had grown quite ragged. If I had just wanted to hear Yukie's voice, I should have just thrown away my reservations and borrowed the phone in the office. I regretted it a little. Well then, it was about time to give up. Just when I thought that, I saw the light in front of me. I finally found it. It was a phone booth. It seemed that the light in the phone booth had recently been changed, as it shone with a vivid white light. Although in the gloom of Hinamizawa, it was nothing more than a gathering spot for moths. But in any case, I had finally found it. Yeah, Akasaka is fucking cooked. Fucking deep fried, yes. As my hand touched the... Did I miss something? I'd finally found it. Okay. As my hand touched the door of the phone booth, I realized that I was breathing and sweating heavily. I didn't know what time it was right now, but even if it was just for a moment, I might be able to get in touch with Yukie. Since I had spent all this effort getting here, turning back without even giving it a try was out of the question. Check the cord first. Before I picked up the receiver, another wave of uneasiness washed over me. I was worried that this phone cord might be severed as well. How was the cord in this phone booth? Squatting down, I followed the bundle of cables as they ran along the corner into the ceiling.
Sorry. What Space said?
He's gonna take this. His pickle ain't about to be dilled here. God damn it. I followed the bundle of cables as they ran along the corner into the ceiling. At a glance, nothing was out of the ordinary. I ran my fingers as far as I could along the line to check it out. The only thing they found was a thick layer of dust. Nothing out of the ordinary. I wondered if it was popular in Hinamizawa to cut the cords of payphones as some sort of tasteless prank. It might be prudent to talk to Oishi-san about this later. Even if it was nothing more than a prank, it was still vandalism of public property. In any case, this one was fine. This time. Pulling out a coin from my pocket with one hand, I picked up the receiver with the other. But this time, before the receiver even reached my ear, I felt something was off. The receiver was light. It was more than a slightly unpleasant feeling. It felt almost sickening. To verify the source of my displeasure, I peered at the receiver in my hand with a measure of reluctance. Do you want to take over for...
I can.
Okay.
What the hell is this?
The coiled cord that connected the receiver to the rest of the phone had been ripped apart, the tip of the cable swaying in the air. It was all I could do to restrain myself as a raw and unpleasant feeling worked its way up the small of my back. It was a type of dread. At that
I don't
moment,
even think it's that much work. It's just like, be slightly ahead of him and cut a wire.
Yeah, it's not that much work at all. They're doing this to cut him off from the outside world that he is familiar with. At that moment, I heard the crunch of somebody stepping on gravel. The light was reflecting off the glass walls of the booth, leaving me unable to see outside in the darkness. I steeled myself and stepped out of the phone booth. The inside of the booth was lit with that strong light, which might have made it warmer in there. Just stepping outside, I could feel a chill wash over me. So there's an ad break coming up in 3 minutes, and we unfortunately can't do anything about it. And I don't want to stop in the middle of this intense scene, so I just want to say, I'm sorry. if you miss 3 minutes of this, we'll catch you up. Sorry, my bad.
We'll catch you up, and also,
Thanks, JM.
If
There
you
are VODs.
use ad block.
Ad block. And there was the silhouette of a person. A small silhouette. Oh. The long hair of that silhouette was blown about by the cool breeze. I think I know who this might be. Hello!
Injured people shouldn't be sneaking out of the hospital.
Somewhere in my head, I knew who this girl was. Oh my god.
so true. I'm away from my keyboard right now, so I'm going to need you all to step up on the knee pause. But maybe not this second, because this is serious.
I didn't have any basis for it, but I knew that she was that girl.
Right, Akasaka?
She, Rika Furude, said that almost like it was a warning.
Did you do this to the phone cord?
Her expression remained unchanged, and my question was left unanswered. In other words, no response. Regardless, I felt that she had affirmed my suspicions.
Why would you do something like this? Why?
The last word had a tinge of anger behind it. I frantically tried to smooth things out, but she didn't seem very afraid.
There's nothing that can be done.
Huh?
Thanks for the water.
Remember when we said it was a serious scene? Thank you.
I interpreted her words as meaning that I wasn't going to be in time for calling hours at the hospital. But thinking about it, that would have been a strange thing to say. Why would she know something like that? I could take what she had said to have any other meaning. She just stood there like a mannequin, not even moving an inch. Almost to the point that if the wind wasn't occasionally rustling through her long hair, there would be the illusion that time had stopped.
I know very well that you think I'm creepy, Akasaka.
Huh? No, that's not true.
My denial came out almost like a bad piece composed for a poetry slam. But her words were right on the mark. I had always felt something ominous and uncanny about her. ever since her strange threats at the shrine. She had noticed that my expression was contrary to my words, seemingly laughing at the gap between them.
Akasaka, you coward.
I'm not a coward.
Being laughed at by this small child didn't sit well with me, so I said that.
Even if you find another phone, it's too late.
Yeah, that's right.
She didn't even have to say it. I was absolutely too late. I might have already missed calling hours even by the time I reached this phone booth. I was too late. I had no option but to give up for today. Once I decided that, my unhealthy obsession with phones suddenly faded. Even I thought it was strange that I was that obsessed. That strange obsession, now gone, I began to laugh at how hopeless I was. I mean, just look at what I was wearing. It wasn't normal. A hospital gown and sandals, my head wrapped in bandages and my body completely soaked in sweat. It was a wonder that the old lady at the tobacco shop wasn't surprised to see me. She was expecting you, that's why. With wanting to hear Yukie's voice as my motive, I had traipsed around the town the entire evening. I didn't know whether to call it the follies of youth or simply plain embarrassing. In any case, it was all I could do but to laugh at myself.
Now, there's nothing left for Akasaka to do tonight.
You're right, there's nothing. I'll just quietly return to the hospital.
That's fine. Do you know the way?
I hope I do.
She waved her little hand as I began to head back the way I came. She began to follow alongside me. Looking at her face, I could see that she wore a mischievous smile, as if she was extremely interested in whether or not I would get lost.
Is Rika-chan's house also this way?
It is.
Won't your parents be mad that you're walking around alone at this hour?
Not really. My parents are busy today, so they probably forgot about me.
Even then, it's best you head on home. They'll definitely be angry.
Even if they are, it's much more interesting to talk with Akasaka, so I'm fine.
She said that with a face free from worry as she looked up at me once more and smiled. When she showed me that smile, the eerie feeling surrounding her faded. No, it should get worse. But even then, she was still as mysterious to me as ever. We arrived at the corner I had turned at earlier, but it was much darker than before, and with the point of view changed on the return trip, I wasn't very confident that this actually was the corner I turned at. There's no mistake. It had to be this corner. As I began to move my feet again, the girl grabbed onto my clothes.
Isn't Akasaka going back to the hospital?
Of course, at least I intend to. Am I going the wrong way?
A short moment of silence. Eventually, still holding onto my clothes, she began to walk. It was the beginning of the walk to the hospital this mysterious girl would take me on. Uh-oh. 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 Is that the end of chapter 5? Nope. Just a breaking point.
The
Okay.
person who was running around cutting all the phone cords was you, wasn't it, Rika-chan? You shouldn't do that anymore.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Really.
She tried to play dumb, but it was written all over her face.
Nipa!
Yeah.
Oh my god, that chirped so loud in my headphones.
Nipa!
Hang on. No, hang on. I gotta turn them back on.
Just briefly.
Oh my god.
The
That-
floodgates have opened.
Holy shit. Holy shit. That was incredible. It was just 2 at the same exact time. Holy fuck. All right. You had it pre-typed in. Fuck yeah.
Nipa!
Nipa!
All right. The floodgates are closed once again. I have built the dam.
You are the problem!
I am the problem! The dam project has been continued! Hinamizawa is now flooded. No more Nippas. It was obvious she was
Don't
trying...
worry, we won't see that until dice killing chapter.
Oh. It was obvious she was trying to laugh it off, but that adorable smile of hers just made me want to forgive her. Ah, I'm going to be a horrible father, aren't I? That momentary lapse in tension was erased by her next words.
It's good that they found the grandson safe and sound.
Unable to respond right away, I sunk into silence. I had already learned this from Sato-san's info, didn't I? This girl, no, this entire village knew everything since the moment I set foot in it. I considered playing dumb. But in the end, I chose not to. Oh, wait. But in the end, it doesn't even matter. I chose not to. With everything being known already, there's no point in me feigning ignorance.
Somehow.
That's great! Now you can go back to Tokyo. Get the fuck out of here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Are your injuries bad, Akasaka?
No, haven't heard anything from the doctor yet, so I don't know if they are or not.
Huh? Come to think of it, I vaguely remember being told to lie down and take it easy for at least 24 hours. Did that mean bed rest?
The wounded shouldn't be sneaking out of the hospital.
People shouldn't be cutting phone cords.
Little girls with blue hair shouldn't be cutting phone cords.
Me. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Then I don't know what you're talking about either.
As we played dumb with each other, we both laughed at the same time.
Hee!
If somebody saw us laughing at each other like this, it would probably bring a smile to their lips.
The chances of Akasaka leaving this village alive weren't very high. I don't want
Hello,
to...
RPG Waldorf. And 3 others.
Oh, shit. RPG Waldorf, welcome in.
That's a question. When it says X is raiding with a party of Y, does that Y include the X, or is it separate? Is it them and or?
I don't know, actually. I think it's just, like, 3 is just, like, the people that were in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah. Because it doesn't really count the streamer as somebody in the chat. It is
Sure.
We're like halfway through Higurashi. We're in chapter 4. We're on chapter 5 of chapter 4. It's very confusing. So welcome in, everybody. You're going to be lost. I am sorry. I'm sorry. But welcome in. Thank you for the raid, Waldorf. I hope your stream was good.
I don't want Akasaka to die, so I'm glad you're leaving the village alive.
Rika-chan, you knew who I was right from the beginning, didn't you?
She said nothing, but gave a firm nod.
Well then, I think you know this, but we're probably somewhat of an enemy to the people in this village, I would think. But you still gave me lots of warnings.
That's right. She said it at that time. She wouldn't warn somebody that she was okay with dying. She definitely said something like that.
Then, I should probably be thanking you.
You probably should. I'm your savior.
Saying that, she puffed up her chest proudly. She said it jokingly, but the meaning behind those words was quite heavy. That was because whether I lived or died was a decision that might have been made in place, unbeknownst to me. She said those words with such an adorable smile that it took a few moments of silence for their weight to settle in. I'd been to this place before. The Guardian's office was there. It was the stone steps leading up to the Furude shrine. When I passed by before, I was so focused on finding a phone booth I hadn't realized where I was.
If I recall correctly, this shrine is Rika-chan's house, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Looking up at the shrine grounds, it was brightly lit and energetic voices could be heard. What was going on?
There's a festival today.
Is it the Watanagashi?
A festival.
The best and only festival in Hinamizawa. The Watanagashi Festival.
Watanagashi. Cotton drifting?
Just knowing the name is boring. Do you want to take a look?
She asked bluntly, but seeing that I looked interested, she climbed up a couple of steps and motioned for me to come. I was only going to go back and sleep anyways. If I had nothing else to do, it might not be a bad idea to go with her on a little detour.
Remember, he's doing all this in a hospital gown.
Imagine going to a festival in a hospital gown. Lord. In the hostile territory that was this village, I didn't know what would happen if I ventured down a side road without Oishi. Even though I thought of the village like that, when I was with this girl, I forgot all about it. In any case, even without anything to back it up, I felt that as long as I was with her, none of the ill will from the village would befall me. That's why, even though I knew my cover was blown, I strangely had no qualms about setting foot into the heart of the Onigafuchi Guardians' territory. Climbing up to the grounds of the shrine, I could see there were about 3 pavilions set up with meeting tables and folding chairs. The old folks from the village know the executives of the Guardians were already quite drunkenly sharing around another round of drinks. I could only see it as people from the village council drinking while enjoying the evening air. At the very least, it was certainly quite different than any festival I'd ever seen.
See? It's quite a boring festival, isn't it?
This certainly doesn't look like a festival.
It's a festival that's happened since long ago, but as you can see, it's not like it used to be.
As if to chide the old folk, she said that while looking at them with an exasperated expression. You really couldn't call this a festival anymore. It was just a bunch of neighbors getting together to drink under the guise of a festival.
I feel sorry for the deity being celebrated here.
Give this sorry excuse for a festival 5 or 6 more years, then everybody in the village will start coming. The ceremony will also be done properly, and it'll be a respectable festival again.
Bro, that's just MFF. MFF has, like, exponentially more people.
MFF has people coming from all over the country.
All over the world. It's the biggest. Yeah. It's the biggest furry convention, I think, still in the world. AC and MFF are constantly at each other's throats for who has the bigger attendance, and I think MFF is gonna be the biggest one because AC has finally started capping how many people can get tickets now. Welcome back, JM. What she said was not so much wishful thinking as it was the telling of a future that had already been determined. She wasn't even predicting it. It was almost like she was simply reporting the results. That's how it sounded. Even though it was baseless speculation, the way she said it wouldn't let me interject. It was the same way she talked when she changed. How's A&E? I have no idea. I've never been there. While I struggled to find the words to reply to her, she wandered over to the other side of the grounds, not minding me at all. Not in a state where I could afford to be left behind, I hurriedly followed after her. Passing through a copse.
Correct.
Of pine trees, a strong and cool breeze ruffled my hair. There, from that one evening, was the splendid observation platform the girl had shown me. As it had grown completely dark, the modest lights littered across the nightscape were providing a different type of scenery.
Looking at it like this village seems tranquil.
She said that with an indifferent look on her face.
Just the other day, you said that this village definitely wouldn't be submerged by the dam, didn't you?
She didn't reply, seemingly relishing in the feeling of the wind blowing through her hair.
It's fine, probably.
Oishi is there and probably is like, oh, he went to call it's his wife. He'll be back soon.
Didn't that mean, at that point in time, the minister had already complied with the demands?
She spun around, her gaze meeting mine, but she said nothing. She spoke nothing that would neither confirm nor deny what I had just said.
This case will probably remain shrouded in darkness. Headquarters probably doesn't want in trouble from a scandal with the minister breaking out.
There's no mistake that they threatened to kill the grandchild.
Then negotiations with the minister were successful, and the grandson was released.
The one who saved the grandson was you.
I wonder about that. The discovery of that wallet that started this chain of events. That alone was almost too convenient, I think.
Ever since the moment that wallet was discovered, I felt something was odd. Oishi said it as well, that the Sonozaki family had given the order to release the hostage, meaning that our little manhunt was a farce to begin with. Come to think of it, I was punched, kicked, and had a gun pointed at me. And shot at you, too. Felt like they put up quite a fight, but that might have been all part of a good performance. Once the negotiations were successful, they couldn't just say, "Here you go," and return the minister's grandson right to the doorstep. They knew that public safety had realized that this was a kidnapping case and were moving in on it. That's why, due to the actions of public safety, the grandson was able to be rescued safely. So the minister didn't give in to any unreasonable demands. That type of performance was necessary.
I don't know about these difficult things.
Likewise. Even for me, I can't make much sense of it. But there's one thing I can be certain of. It's just as you said. This village won't be submerged. The dam project will soon be over.
That wasn't something an officer of the law should be saying. But I naturally let those words slip from my mouth. This village may have stirred up all sorts of trouble, but that was because they were protecting their homes. If someone just decided by themselves that I had to leave the house I was used to living in, I would resent them as well. On top of that, it wasn't a place like mine where I just happened to be renting it, but a place that their families had lived for generations. Akasaka gains empathy. It might be ignorant to call their desperate resistance an overreaction. I might not really be qualified to criticize politics or bureaucracy, but deliberately building a dam on land that was loved by its residents wasn't something I could get behind.
Still, aren't you glad?
Why would that be?
At the very least. With this, peace will return to the village.
Even though the minister promised to use his considerable influence to cancel the project, it would probably take more than a few months before it would be completely scrapped. At the very least, it would probably take 1 or 2 years. Well, that's usually how CGs are. They're just completely different. Well, it's not even completely different. It's pretty similar. For the villagers to officially hear that their village wasn't going to be submerged at the bottom of a dam was still a ways away. But it was no mistake that the promise of peace returning to the village was there. It turned out, from beginning to end, that it had already all been decided. Just as the girl had said, it was decided. There wasn't really a need for me to come here in the first place. There was absolutely no need for me to have come here and aggravate an unpleasant situation. If I had never come here, then the grandson's release might have been done in a more amicable manner.
Peace? In this village?
When I nodded, she laughed as if to admonish me. But her face remained indifferent, expressionless. And then her eyes narrowed slightly as she snickered.
Even though every year from now on, something bloody will occur?
Rika-chan, what are you talking about?
As the wind blew her hair about, the girl, as if taking pleasure in that I was the only one who didn't know, continued to snicker as she looked at my face for a while.
You see, in a few years, I'll be killed.
Huh? Backlit by the moon, it was hard to tell if her expression that had been cast in shadow was smiling, amused. That's right, every chapter we've played so far, Rika has been killed, right?
Correct. In chapter 1, we don't see it happen, but she disappears from the story.
In chapter 2, she definitely died. They found her body. Chapter
They found
3,
her body.
they definitely found her body. We found her body with Satoko. Or, like, Satoko wasn't dead with her, but you were with Satoko when you found it.
No, that was chapter 3, yes.
That was
correct.
chapter 3, yep.
I'm getting my numbers mixed up.
You're all good. I already read that. Or resigned.
You will? Why?
It's a very unpleasant thing, though. It's also probably been decided already.
Decided already? Who would decide that sort of thing?
I'd like to know that as well.
Turning back to face me, she showed me a resolute expression for the first time. And after after staring into my eyes for a moment, she turned back to gaze at the scenery before she spoke her next words.
There's a lot of people who have no regard for human life. Even if I tell you this, it might not change anything, though. But if you want to erase the specter of death, sometimes, like with the reflection of the moon on the water, all you have to do is throw a small stone.
I had no idea what she was trying to say. It's just, I had to listen to every word with my body and soul, or at least that's what I thought.
This day, next year. Yes, June 1979. On this day, the foreman of the dam construction project will be killed.
What?
For a moment, I couldn't comprehend what she was talking about. By the foreman, did she mean that gruff old man I played mahjong with?
Be killed? What makes you think?
She didn't answer, but she had the same expression on her face as she did when she declared that the dam project would go away. That wasn't the face of somebody making a forecast or a prediction. It was something that was already decided. No, it was as if she was already reporting the results, that sort of expression.
After being killed in a gruesome manner, the body will be torn apart and disposed of.
Murdered and dismembered.
The next year, in June of 1980, on this day, Satoko's parents will be pushed to their deaths.
Satoko? It was the first time I heard that name, but I didn't have the courage to interrupt the girl's story.
It might be an accident. An unfortunate accident.
The girl smiled faintly, but she wasn't exactly encouraging me to smile along with the lifeless look in her eyes.
And then, the year after that, this day in June of 1981, my parents will be killed. And then, the year after that, this day in June of 1982, Satoko's abusive aunt will have her head split open and die. And then the year after that, this day in the June of 1983, or possibly a few days afterwards, I will be killed. If all the deaths are preordained, then the last one would also be all according to plan. But then, whose plan would it be?
This village is full of murderers and people who have no regard for human life. It would be fine to believe that all the deaths up until 1982 would be the work of somebody in the village. It would be fine to believe that all the deaths that would occur were at the discretion of those who control the village. But that didn't explain what would happen in 1983. There was no way that the last death would fit in with anybody's plans. They had no regard for human life. They would use every means at their disposal to meet their goals. But their goals were at odds with the last death. That's why the last death was unrelated to them. But that last death would definitely, most likely, probably, without question, happen. Probably, definitely, I dare say, the last death would be a merciful one. A handkerchief or something being placed over their mouth, making them lose consciousness, never to wake up again. Exactly whose plan was that?
I want to live happily. That's my only wish. Surrounded by my precious friends, spending our days enjoyably. Only that. I don't wish for anything more than that.
Higurashi.
I don't want to die.
The girl, stoic as ever, let those last words slip in the end. I have some thoughts, but I'll talk about them when we get a chance. Eventually, we were discovered by some drunks. The girl, as well as I, were dragged back to the festivities. Everybody was completely drunk, so even when they saw my head completely wrapped in bandages, they wouldn't let me leave. Well, certainly, if I was in good enough condition to slip out of the hospital, it must not be that serious. The girl was mingling with everybody, being pampered like a kitten. Her expression was adorable, nothing like the one from just before, predicting her own death and whispering that she didn't want to die. Having said that, having a silly and lively conversation like this, it was hard to believe that these people were the core of an extremist resistance group. Even if it was a shell of its former self, it was a festival where people in the village gathered, so the 20-some-odd folk here could have included some of the village executives and other important members. Among those, there was no doubt that there were members that were at the Sonozaki Family Council in attendance. Meaning, even if we never met face-to-face before, there were people here who knew my identity. In a small village like this, they knew the faces of all the villagers that lived here. That's why, without even saying anything, it soon became obvious that I was an outsider. But they actually seemed interested by that, asking me all sorts of questions about Tokyo, drinking while musing on the faint relationship the city had with the villagers and empathizing with the rather meager environment. The confidential talks with the minister were finished, his grandson was in police custody. Everything was over. I might not have to be put in another perilous situation. To me, they were only my adversaries because of my job. Outside of that, there was no reason I couldn't be friendly with them. The next time I visited this village would it return to being a tranquil and beautiful place? If that happened, I might be able to take a relaxed walk around the village with her again. My cup was once again filled to the brim with beer. Bro, giving a hospital patient alcohol, what are you doing? Probably on so many pain meds. Chill out. By the time I was able to get away, it was the middle of the night. The girl had at some point disappeared. It seems that her parents had told her to go home and sleep when she let out a large yawn. The old folks, who had absolutely no remorse for making an injured person hang out with them, told me as much as they laughed. I was just there drinking, so I had thought to help a bit with cleanup. However, my help was refused on the grounds that I was a guest. On top of that, they had a car prepared to take me back to the hospital. Oh, that's nice. Losing the battle against my sleepiness inside the car, I was sound asleep until we reached the parking lot of the hospital. He's putting his guard down. It's fucking done. The front door of the hospital was...
It's fine.
It's not fine. The front door of the hospital was naturally locked at this hour. I wandered around bewilderedly, searching for a back entrance until somebody on night duty found out and let me inside.
Where were you this late at night? Dr. Irie was worried, you know.
Oh.
Sorry for the trouble. I was held up by the people having a festival at the shrine. Oh, they did say something about everybody in town council getting together for a drink. My condolences. Are your wounds all right? They're throbbing a bit. It's probably because of the alcohol, I think. Oh, that's right. The detective that was with you wanted to get in touch. Oops. I kept the Oishi-san waiting.
It is on Steam. Yep, you can play it yourself. It's really long. I glanced at the clock. I hope you like reading. That's all this game is. And art, of course. Glanced at the clock. No matter how you looked at it, it was way too late to call him now. I'll apologize to him tomorrow over the phone. What is the name of the mod that we use to make everything look better?
7th mod.
Yeah, look up 7th mod. It's really easy to set up. so you can get like the it's better this way. It's better this way. I'll apologize to him tomorrow over the phone. Blech. I returned back to my hospital room and slipped into the bed that was still unmade from the time I went outside. Oh, that's no good. I have to turn off the lights. But my weariness had cut the cord powering my body, lulling me into a deep sleep. Haha, cut the cord. Haha. Hee
What happened to the first 6 mods? Well, you see, they were spirited away by the demon.
They were demoned away! Bro. Let's read tips and then we can probably wrap up, even if it would be shorter.
Oi.
Because I imagine the last chapter is going to be insane. I don't like that knowing laughter. Dill the pickle.
That's gonna make that the name of the YouTube VOD, please. Like Dill the Pickle or some
I'll put it
shit
in
like
the
that.
I'll put it in the description because usually my VODs are just named Higurashi Chapter 4 Part 5. You know.
I understand.
There's something I didn't like about my child. Oh, you can read this if you want.
I first realized it when I started writing these things down. They never warn you about it in any books about raising children, but they aren't just a plaything.
No.
If they aren't able to feel loved even when they're not doing exactly as their parents want them to, then those parents are failures. This wasn't something like that, though. How can I say it? It's probably harder to express with mere words. I just want my child to be average. As long as they weren't falling behind, there wasn't any need for them to excel at something. As long as they acted appropriately for their age, I would have been fine with it. But my child had been different ever since kindergarten. While the children in her class were running around in excitement about the field trip the next day, she only wore a bored look on her face, aloof and distant. When the other kids broke the equipment for the athletics festival and were apologizing fervently, she only wore a bored look on her face, aloof and distant. When the teacher was reading a fun picture book, only she wasn't smiling. Even if they all got to eat delicious bento, only she wasn't happy. If it was only this, it would still be in the realm of understanding. However, what I don't understand about my child is that if the aforementioned situations happened again, they'd now act in a manner befitting their age. I don't understand the principle behind that as a parent. Why were they indifferent about that field trip, but happy about this one? Why were they indifferent about that picture book, but happy about this one? Why were they indifferent about that bento, but happy about this one? The former and the latter in each situation seem exactly the same to me. There were even times when I thought the former one was better. I don't understand that child's feelings. During parent-teacher meetings, the teacher always says the same thing, and I would always respond that I don't understand my own child, and we would mope together. My husband, always the optimist, once said that a young child's feelings are different from an adult's, so if there were some things we didn't understand, we shouldn't worry about it. I lament his lack of urgency. One day, when I was in a good mood, I took the effort to prepare a menu that my child would enjoy, but she only smiled with a vague expression of disinterest. That attitude frankly made me angry, so I hit her on the head.
Awful.
On a day when the weather was nice, the laundry I had just hung up to dry was blown by a large gust of wind, causing the entire line to fall down. But she, watching me try to pick up my laundry in a panic, stood there laughing. That attitude frankly made me angry, so I hit her on the head.
Awful.
I think the same sort of thing happened countless times. Before I knew it, my child was only able to look at me with an indifferent expression on her face. I regret the fact that I've been a bad mother. Thinking I should regain her trust, I thought to get it back little by little with some light interactions. Seeing her do some sort of craft work on the veranda, I called out to her.
Oh, I can read this.
These past few
Or
days
you
have been
can read
nice and
that.
sunny. The air feels nice, doesn't it? That child, with that indifferent look on her face I hated so much, looked up at me for a moment, and without a word returned to immersing herself in her craft work. Up until now, I would have hit her on the head just for that. I held myself back. What are you making? Is it a doll?
A weather charm.
That child was using inserts from the newspaper to deftly make some weather charms. The forecast hadn't called for rain. But that child, in her own way, was praying that these sunny days would continue. Being able to understand my own child for the first time in a while, I couldn't hide my own happiness. Bringing out a ball of yarn, I began to hang my child's cute weather charms from the eaves of the house. It's no good, Rika. The heads are too heavy, see? They've become reverse weather charms now. If they're like this, they'll call the rain instead of the sun. When I started to take them down, my child tugged at the hem of my shirt as if to stop me.
That's because I made them to be upside down. They're fine.
I must be a terrible person because every time it says hit her on the head, I think of the Shibe Bonk meme. You know, that's fine.
But Rika, if they're upside down, they won't be a charm that calls for sunny day, you know?
I was making a charm for it to rain, so they're fine.
I desperately suppressed the emotions welling up inside of me. I was trying desperately to understand my child. Oh, I see. The morning glories in the garden were starting to get a little wilted from all the sun, so you wanted some rain, right? The child turned to me with the expression that I hated the most.
I got bored of the clear weather.
Recall back to a different tip.
I don't understand. I don't understand. I just can't understand that child.
Yes.
Great parenting.
Great parenting. All the chapters have the same description on Steam. I didn't know that. That's interesting. But it is all part of the same story. It is, from what I can tell, it's all linear. It's not linear because this is a prologue, but it's continuous. Oh wait, before I read this, you know what? No, let's actually get to the end of this
Okay.
this stream and I can actually like share my thoughts I have. Because we have gotten vital information that kind of gives me new ideas on like it's what the fuck is happening. So during the do you want to read this? You can read it.
Just because you've been reading for a while,
I
would
have.
like to.
I have been reading for a while, so go for it.
During the family council, she buried herself on the Oryo-san's futon again. Oryo-san dotes on her unwaveringly. No matter whatever insolence my child commits, she doesn't mind. It's almost as if my child is a kitten or something. Oryo dotes on her exactly like you would with a kitten. As her mother, I chided her for doing that. Until Oryo-san had said 3 times that it was fine, I chided for her as a formality. Of course, she never lends an ear to any of my chidings. Knowing that Oryo-san's standing was far above mine, she behaves like that. I don't like the cunning that's unbefitting of her age, either. In any case, not only Oryo-san, but the rest of the old folk in the village spoil her too much. One day I was surprised. By chance, on the way back from some shopping, I saw her by herself outside a candy shop. My own child suddenly grabbed a snack, opened the package right there, and then started eating it. She didn't make any attempt to pay for it, and she didn't even think of looking around. It didn't even feel like she was shoplifting. More like she was brazenly eating snacks being offered to her. When I began to admonish my child, the elderly shop owner appeared and covered for her. The owner gave the ridiculous excuse that he had said it was okay for that child to eat any of the snacks out by the entrance, so it was fine. When I tried to pay for the snacks that my child had eaten, the owner refused my money. During that exchange, more old folks had suddenly gathered around, and it began to feel like I was the one in the wrong. The elderly people all put their hands together reverently in front of my child and repeatedly voiced their respects. I was born into the Furude family, so it wasn't like I didn't know why she was being treated specially. When I was still young, it was something I had heard often from my own grandmother. If by chance the child that I gave birth to was a girl, that child would be the living incarnation of Oyashiro-sama. All the older folk believe she's the living incarnation of Oyashiro-sama and spoil her rotten. And not only did they spoil her, but they even told her she was the living incarnation of Oyashiro-sama. That she had a divine power and threw all sorts of strange folk tales her way. She may have begun to believe herself that she was a special existence. I went around and told everybody that it wasn't good for her upbringing, so to stop telling her all these strange things, but there was no uprooting the elderly people's deep-seated superstitions. I told my child not to listen to them, but it ended up being that she stopped listening to me. Between all the old folks in the village who would dote on her and myself who only scolded her, there was no wonder who she would listen to. There was no mistaking that the reason she had become strange was because of the elderly villagers. There was no doubt that they had shoved her full of strange folk tales and superstitions since she was young. If it wasn't for that, there was no doubt my child would have been cute and normal.
The anime didn't tackle anything about Rika's parents. That wasn't fun to hear.
A lot of the stuff from the tips, other than like stuff that is extremely plot critical, gets completely left out in the anime for time.
Oh yeah,
And it sucks.
I imagine. I'm excited to check out the anime, or one of the anime, at least, after we finish this series, because I just want to see how they, like, what's the word? Truncate. Abridge everything. What they cut out. I want to see what they omit from, like, the story.
Specifically, you'll be watching the 06 anime.
Okay.
Because Go and Satsu are, even though they were advertised as this tricky little Ryakishi, they are not.
Oh, so they're like
telling the stories. It's an actual sequel.
So they're like secret sequels, like a lot of fucking remakes will be these days.
Yeah, like it was really, really fucking revolutionary at the time because it was fully advertised as like just kind of
remake.
We're just doing the anime again because people didn't really like the 06 one and it's outdated now. And then you get to the end of the first episode and it deviates so far, so suddenly, and you're like, huh!
Whoa! That's really cool, actually, and that makes sense.
It's super cool.
That makes sense with like the whole like sort of time loop buffoonery that is happening. I don't know what causes the time loop, or if it even is a thing. I have thoughts. We'll get to them after this tip.
Higurashi, Go, and Satsu are not good in my opinion. You do not want to have this argument with me.
We don't need to do that. We don't need to get into
dust.
We're all entitled to our opinions.
Yeah,
I've actually heard a lot of people say that they're not good. But
I think
I do want to check them out.
They suffer a lot from the need to be 26 episode anime series. But if it was shorter, it would have been better.
I see. That makes sense.
And I have a lot of love for it, and a lot of it won't make sense if you haven't played Umineko, so.
I see. Okay, got it. God, it's so deep. The Higurashi cinematic universe is so fucking deep. I'll never escape.
One sunny parent-teacher day, there was a cooking class, and my child was making curry rice with a practiced hand.
It kind of bothers me how she just refers to Rika as my child. Like, that's so unnatural.
It's very, like...
Just call her name.
How would I put it? There's a word I'm searching for.
Inhuman?
Yes, but not quite that.
Fuck.
Unfamiliar.
Unfamiliar, yeah.
While the other children her age were awkwardly using their kitchen knives, that child was wielding hers deftly. The teacher approached me with a smile on their face, saying it must be a result of learning it at home.
Emotionally distant is also good.
Yes. I managed to play it off with a vague smile and a nod in response. That was because I'd never once taught my child how to make curry rice. Even then, she was peeling vegetables with a practiced hand, adding them into the pot in the order of which took longer to cook. For a normal parent, they might unintentionally clap their hands together, happy at their child's actions. But in my case, it was different. There was no mistaking that somebody had taught her how to make that curry rice when I wasn't taking care of her. Thinking that, I quietly fell into an unpleasant mood. When I asked, it seemed she could also sew and do the laundry. I'd never taught her how to do those, and again, never saw her do it around the house. Be it cooking, or sewing, or the laundry. Again, that was probably because the elderly villagers taught her all sorts of rubbish while I wasn't looking. And not only that, they probably taught her all sorts of strange superstitions, trying to prop her up as the living incarnation of Oyashiro-sama. I said as much to my husband, suggesting that we should keep our child away from the elderly folk. My husband, who was in the position of being the head priest of the Furude shrine, had little power against the elderly who supported it. He took the rather uncommitted stance of saying that as long as she was being doted upon, wasn't it fine? I argued against that. That she was our child, and she should be a completely normal girl. That what the elderly were expecting, that she was the living incarnation of Oyashiro-sama, was simply odd. The elderly villagers believe that child has divine powers. We would discuss the weather for the following day, but there were many times when I left the house without an umbrella and came back soaking wet. Rather than having clairvoyance, that was just secondhand knowledge from her watching the news all the time. The things that she knew that she shouldn't have known were just the result of people who were trying to indoctrinate her, and the people who were gossiping getting together in the village. However, there certainly were days when everybody thought it was going to be sunny all day, and that child would stubbornly not go out with an umbrella. It would occasionally rain, and in the end, we would be saved. There might have also been times when Rika knew of major accidents in foreign countries faster than the news did. I thought that she must have heard it break over the radio or something. Knowing things she shouldn't have. Something like that. Was it in front of me right now, wasn't it? That child was making curry rice when there shouldn't have been anybody who taught her how to. No, that couldn't possibly be the case. Somebody had taught her, indoctrinated her. When I wasn't taking care of her, somebody had indoctrinated Rika with something.
Oh, Chie. Urude-san's curry is absolutely splendid. I'll give it a gold star.
Nipa!
Wait. Incredible. Incredible. Incredible.
Best redeem.
You know what? I won't even turn them off. I won't even turn them back off. It's not super.
Use your discretion, chat.
I mean, that's fine. Where did you? Where did you learn to cook, Furude-san? At home?
Yeah, at home. At home!
The other parents in attendance were impressed. Lies. All lies. I didn't teach her anything. Who was it? Who was it? Who was the person who had completely indoctrinated my child? She was my normal, average daughter, not the living incarnation of Oyashiro-sama.
This demon child knows how to cook! Fuck! Alright, chat.
But isn't it weird?
A little bit.
Isn't it weird that she knows?
She knows everything.
Isn't it weird that she knows years in advance?
Yes. It is weird. Okay. Now, chat. This is my moment of telling you. Let's take things seriously for a moment. Because one thing I love to do when I have things to talk about with Higurashi is I like to discuss my story thoughts. Cal already knows everything that happens in Higurashi, so he's not gonna tell me if I'm right or wrong. And he's not gonna tell you if you're right or wrong. What were you gonna say?
I was just agreeing with you.
Okay, got it. Urge to Nipa. Well, if anybody Nipas while I'm trying to talk, I will turn them off again. But here's the thing. Here's the thing that I gotta lay out for everybody. While I'm having story discussion, this is not a pissing contest to see who can be funnier. I actually want to have a discussion with my chat about the story. So when I'm like, what do you think, chat? And then you just tell a funny joke, I'm gonna get mad and probably time you out. I want to have a real discussion. So if you already know what happens, obviously no spoilers, don't spoil, don't say, oh, you're on the right track, don't even tell me that. Don't even tell me that.
If you do that shit, I will appear in your house in real life faster than you can fucking blink.
Yeah. Okay, so...
I will Superman through your window and knock you the fuck out.
God. So, some thoughts I shared in previous chapters, specifically the last chapter we had. So, in the previous chapters, they all took place in 1983, and our protagonist was Keiichi. Keiichi Maibara. His last name doesn't matter. He's my stupid son, and I love him, and I hate him at the same time. So, in the previous chapters, it was like a time loop, essentially. In the first chapter, Keiichi died, and I think Mion and Rena died as well, after they injected Keiichi with a mystery substance, and he killed himself by clawing out his own throat. This is wonderful music to say this to. There was also... what's-her-face? Blonde chick. Takano. That's her name, right? Didn't she also die in every chapter basically the same way? She got lit on fire, and
we never see the body though.
We never see the body.
To us secondhand.
The other thing is, I think it was in chapter 2, they found her body allegedly when they went and they checked out the shrine, like the storehouse.
Yes,
so,
specifically they'd done like posthumous shit that was been like, oh, this body has been here for X amount of days.
Okay.
And
that didn't line up.
The amount of days didn't line up because if she had died when they said, she couldn't have been at the festival.
Yeah. So there's some shit that's not lining up. And it seems there might be parallel timelines. There might be some way somebody or people are able to jump to other timelines somehow. I have a theory that people do that when they kill somebody else. And that would line up if Takano is the one who is killing Tomitake, because Tomitake is another character that dies every chapter, I think, right?
Yes.
Yes. Tomitake is found dead every chapter so far. I don't think he was found dead in the third one, was he? I think I just assumed that Takano had him in the trunk of her car.
Yeah, we never hear about it.
Uh-huh. So, I have a theory that Takano is killing Tomitake, and then she is able to basically split into another timeline. Because there was a thing in chapter 3, the last chapter we did, where Keiichi killed somebody, killed Satoko's uncle, buried the body, and then woke up the next day and heard about an alternate version of himself going to the Watanagashi festival. And there was no denying that they weren't trying to cover for him or anything. No, they actually believed he was there. So there's like an alternate Keiichi somewhere, or he jumped to a different timeline where Satoko's uncle is still alive. Here are my thoughts right now that update this. So we learned Rika knows about all the deaths coming up, and she's exactly right on the money, including her own. I have a new theory that
What's your theory?
That the reason that the timeline starts resetting is because of Rika's unwillingness to die. She wants to live. She knows she has to die, but the summer restarts every time she fucking dies. And Rika is the one behind everything. Because she's Oyashiro-sama, essentially. So this is happening because of Rika's unwillingness to accept her death. That is, there's something like that. That is my thought right now. I know we have one more chapter left in this chapter, but I just needed to get that out there. Right
A
now.
lot of the stuff that you are theorizing right now will be resolved by the end of this chapter.
Fuck yes! I'm so excited! Woo!
If not by the end of this chapter, then I think at least by the start of the next one. Like very, very early.
Fuck
It's either
yes.
in the after party or at the very start of the next chapter.
Let's go. Let's fucking go. I want to know. Yeah,
I like
there's
to
basically...
think of it like the overarching things are episodes, and then the smaller parts are chapters.
Mhm. Yeah. So we're on episode 4. This is chapter 5 we just finished, and we have one more chapter in the after party. I don't know if there's parallel timelines, but in chapter 1 and chapter 2 and chapter 3, it restarts the summer and then different things happen. Watsunagashi always happens though, and Rika always dies. And so does Tomitake, and so does Takano, allegedly. Allegedly. Tomitake and Takano are 2 characters we have not met in this chapter, so... Oh, see ya, JM. Don't worry about it. We're about to wrap up. It's like a dark version of that Haruhi anime. The Haruhi Suzumiya? Was that a time loop thing? I don't know. I never got into that one. I know it had, I really liked the premise of that one because, I don't know, have you ever watched Haruhi Suzumiya?
No.
Is
that the one with, like, that one stretch that's, like, Endless 8 or some shit?
I have no idea. I don't know much about it. I did know the premise was Haruhi was interested in the supernatural. She was interested in, like, aliens, espers, like, all that shit. And so she made a club for other people who were interested in it, and all the people in her club ended up being aliens, espers, and like time travelers. That was the other one. So all the characters in the club are just all the things she's interested in and she doesn't know.
Is the anime adapted from the game or
Yes.
vice versa? The anime is adapted from the visual novel, yes.
Yeah, the visual novel was first, and the anime is an adaptation of it.
I cannot
Flashbacks,
imagine a
so-
fucking world where a visual novel this long is extrapolated from a mediocre anime.
Honestly, yeah, like, I don't think there's ever been, like, there may be a visual novel adaptation of an anime out there that I just don't
Usually
know
they
of.
just go to manga.
Yeah. Yeah. But hang on. Gil had a thought that I forgot to read out loud.
Sorry.
No, don't apologize. I just forgot to read it out loud. I'm gonna double up on that and bet that Rika is resetting the timeline because she wants her and her friends to be happy, to all be happy. Yeah. You know, she also mentioned that, so I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that. Definitely visual
If it's all
novel
the same
adaptations.
to all of you, I'm gonna switch to my other mic, the shittier one.
Oh, that's fine. I
Because
don't
my
know.
legs hurt.
It's fine. There are definitely VN adaptations of anime, mainly stuff made during the PSP and Vita era. That makes sense. Well, you know, there.
Oh my god, you're so right. I guess Danganronpa. No, Danganronpa is the VN first.
I didn't know that. Danganronpa.
Like Danganronpa is more of a game than it is a VN.
Mhm.
But like,
I-
you know what I mean.
I wish I could
It
get.
hides the line.
I wish I could get into Danganronpa, but
Listen,
I always.
so much anime bullshit. You'd hate it. You'd hate it.
I always think of that video of that guy like, "Are you guys talking about Danganronpa? That's trash. That's a lie.
It's a lie. I kid Kokichi.
Who do you kid?"
Nagito.
I think that
Space can make that noise perfectly, and every time you reference it, they do it, and it makes me feel ill.
it's so fucking funny. Thanks for the water. How does he make that noise? How does he make it? I can Kokichi. Like
Who do you kid?
See,
Danganronpa's okay if you removed all the BS stuff. Danganronpa is fucking impeccable if you remove all the BS stuff.
Here's the thing. Here's my thoughts. These are always my thoughts whenever this comes up, because this is always a thing I hear when it comes to anime. It's okay if you remove like the gross stuff. It's like, stop hiding good stories under gross shit. Stop it. Just stop it. I don't want to have to tolerate gross anime bullshit to enjoy your good story. Sorry.
I will never recommend Danganronpa to you. I will
Thanks.
never do that to you. As much as I love it and I have so much affection for it, and it would be neat if you did, I can't in good conscience recommend that series to you.
Oh yeah, no.
I just can't do it.
Yeah, no, I talk about this a lot. I've talked about it in one of my own visual novels. And that's how I feel. I love anime when it's good. When I find a good anime, I'm like, fuck yes. My favorite movie is Akira, which we wouldn't have anime in America at all if it weren't for that movie. So, I really like anime when it's not gross as fuck. And unfortunately, Higurashi has that issue. I really want to just remake Higurashi in Renpai and get rid of all the bullshit. I really just want to do that. That would be a
like, you can even keep the old maid. Whatever.
I'll
Just
keep
stop
that.
being weird about children.
Stop dressing Rika as a cat girl. Stop it.
There's so many like figures from the old days, TM, of like Rika in a collar and doing like a little cat girl pose, and it just makes me go. Eh.
Yeah. No, I hate trying to look for Rika CGs for this fucking playthrough, and then I find like just her in a maid outfit, and I'm like, God, she's like 10. What are you doing? Stop it. And in this, she's even younger. She's like 5. Fuck. God damn it. Fan Danganronpa series. I'm good. Isn't she like 6 in this? I think she's like 11 in the main. Anime was a mistake. You're right, Cutter. All right, I think.
Yeah, Project Eden's Garden is really good, but if you don't have the
context,
base love and context of Danganronpa, I guess it's not necessary, but like it enriches the experience.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
won't make sense to anybody but me and Space, but Project Eden's Garden is to Danganronpa what Vast Error is to Homestuck.
Uh-oh!
Yeah, go ahead.
That was the quickest I ever did it.
Yeah, that was so fast.
Hang on, before the Vine boom even comes in.
A subliminal image.
It's like Fight Club. Alright, anyway.
God.
Goodbye, everybody. Hang on, let me close the game actually. Ba-ba-ba-ba. Ba-ba-ba-ba. Ba-ba-ba. I love when people get so confused whenever that image is used. And they just don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm like, the world is healing. Nature is healing. Wonderful. Fantastic. Great. Redacted is playing Metroid Fusion. Areki's playing It Takes Two. I think Areki might have just started. We've been rating Areki a lot. I think, you know what? I think Redacted started before me. That might not be a good idea. Wait, how long has Redacted been going? Hold on. Wait a minute. Redacted, you're streaming too long. That's 6 hours. Stop it.
Redacted, you're streaming too long. Your bitch is too bad. They'll kill you.
No! No! How long has Axe been going? Let's see. Looking. Let me looking. Yeah. Let's raid Reki. Let's raid Reki. Yasumimir. It kills me. It's become like a phrase. Let's go, Areki. I did.
Goodbye, everybody.
Commissions should be closed, yes. I have been streaming though, so I haven't been able to contact anybody who sent me a commission for it. So, I will after I stop streaming.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Have fun with the recce. Good night. Oh, Moonpie came out of the bathroom, so she knows that I'm ending stream.